Chapter 1758. Qin Renxue thought for a while and felt that there was no problem with this arrangement. He summoned Angel Yin. Angel Yin arrived outside the palace with a muffled voice. King Taoye's laughter was still echoing in the square. This made her very unhappy, but there was no other way. Logic told her that if she forced herself to continue, it would only be more troublesome. When she arrived at the palace, she guessed a bit. Taking a deep breath, she pushed open the door and walked in. She saw King Tian Xiu and the king, who was supposed to be today's main character but had yet to appear. They were standing on the viewing platform and understood the situation at a glance. Queen, that King Tao Tai, Angel Yin was silent for a moment. It's a bit strange. I have a feeling that if I slash a few more times, he might split into even more King Tao Tai. Your battle intuition is very powerful. Qin Renxue turned around. She and I analyzed it and said so too. You can feel it directly. Then, Angel Yin looked at Qin Renxue with a questioning gaze, as if asking, then what should I do? Qin Renxue shrugged, indicating that he did not know either. Then his gaze fell on Wang Feng. Sword, Wang Feng said concisely. Angel Yin hurriedly took out her angel sword. This was not an ordinary sword. It was a void weapon. Void weapons were equipped with a special void engine and had extraordinary power. Wang Feng held this long sword in his hand. A red lotus appeared in his palm and dyed it with a special flame. The flame contained the power of karmic fire. It would not be easy to deal with the power of the divine system universe without using the chaos lotus. Of course, Wang Feng could directly use the primordial origin to attack King Tao Tai and analyze it. He could instantly kill the opponent. However, this was a battle between angels and Tao Tais. It was not a big deal for him to instantly kill it. Only by being able to instantly kill an angel would these angels have more respect for him. Angel Yin took the longsword. It was faintly discernible and emitted a faint flame. That's it, she thought. He didn't upgrade his divine body, but simply swiped the sword lightly. Could it be that this angelic sword could kill King Tao Tai? With some doubts in his mind, Angel Yin took the long sword and activated the void engine. Activating Red Lotus Void Engine. Activation successful. Genetic calculation. Matching. 5%. 100%. Matching complete. Installing the new function Karmic Fire Trial. Installation successful. Do you want to activate the new function to attack the target? As a familiar voice sounded in his mind, Angel Yin hesitated for a moment. He flew out of the palace like a master who had been taught his skills by a peerless master and returned to the ceremony square. He focused his gaze. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that the Angel Yin had gone to the palace to find a way to defeat the enemy. Moreover, from the looks of it, it was obviously related to the king of the Heavenly Blade Monarch. However, Angel Yin didn't seem to be much different from before. The representatives of the various civilizations did not find anything strange. The long sword in Archangel Hikari's hand. Other than Archangel Hikari, it was difficult for others to see what had changed. That sword. Hishi's pupils contracted slightly. Most of the void weapons came from her hands and were not completely created by her, but it also contained some of her skills. Vaguely, Hishi felt a special power. What kind of power did the king bestow on Angel Yin? Her divine body doesn't seem to have changed at all. Is she just relying on a sword? Hishi had some doubts in his mind. At this moment, Angel Yin walked back to the square and looked at the two Tao Tai kings opposite her. The latter was not afraid at all, as if waiting for the angel to attack. Archangel Hikari hesitated. The void engine in the flame sword seemed to have been upgraded. But what kind of changes there were, and whether the new ability would be effective against the two Tao Tai kings, she was not sure. As a warrior, she should not hesitate. But this was beyond Angel Yin's understanding. The brief hesitation in her eyes was seen by the Tao Tai king. It seems that you've obtained some secret weapon? The Tao Tai king smiled. Did Monarch Tianxiu give it to you? Or is it today's main character, her man? I'm looking forward to your secret weapon. Come, I'm standing right here. If you move, I'll cut my own throat on the spot. He called himself I, and his tone was extremely arrogant. He was provoking Angel Yin to attack. That kind of confidence made Angel Yin even more hesitant. But after thinking about Angel Yin did not hesitate to raise the angelic sword. She silently chanted in her heart, "Fire of Sin." Activating. Target locked. Analyzing. Target creature is a physical life form, contaminated with more than 10 million life karma. Tolerance is 0. The strange analysis sound was somewhat different from the previous engine. But soon, Angel Yin felt a special flame surging into her hand. It was a flame without temperature, but it made her feel a burning sensation in her mind. Her heart trembled. Just like before, she slashed her sword at the Taotai King. "Oh, so your secret weapon is this flame? What a joke." Seeing the sword slashing towards them, the two Taotai Kings sneered in different voices. But when the sword was about to fall, an unparalleled sense of fear emerged in the hearts of the two Taotai Kings. The fear of death. Having experienced death once, he was especially sensitive to this kind of fear. As if it was a conditioned reflex, the two Taotai Kings dodged immediately. If they did not dodge, they would undoubtedly die. Angel Yin. Everyone, countless representatives of the civilizations who were watching this scene were stunned. "Why did you dodge? Didn't you say not to dodge?" "He's afraid." Go. Shaolin whispered, "That Taotai King is afraid. It seems like he's afraid of the flame burning on the angel's sword." "What flame is that? Isn't the Taotai King very arrogant? Why would he be afraid of flame? He shouldn't be afraid of the Grand Sun primordial flame, right?" "That is." At this moment, Goku suddenly said, "In ancient times, I once heard my master say that there is a legendary flame that has no temperature and will not cause harm to ordinary people, but can burn all the sins in this world. Gods and Buddhas can't escape from it. After living to modern times, I've asked around and confirmed that there is no such legendary flame in our universe. I originally thought that it was just a fable that my master told me. I didn't expect that I would really see it today. That is karma fire." Goku's voice had just faded. Suddenly, he realized that although the two Taotai Kings dodged the trajectory of Angel Yan's sword, however, King Taotai did not know when the flames had infected him. Only a little bit. However, in an instant, this little bit of flame burned wildly. It was as if the Taotai Kings' bodies were poured with oil. But in an instant, the flame burned the two Taotai Kings to ashes. He did not even have the chance to say his last words. The breath of life disappeared. Shaolin muttered, "What a terrifying flame." Chapter 1759. Hellfire was hellfire. But this wasn't the hellfire from before. The hellfire that Wang Feng used in the Douluo world was the hellfire condensed from the hellfire Red Lotus in the form of his martial soul. And now, the Chaos Green Lotus had already broken away from the martial soul form and was a true soul. In other words, the Chaos Green Lotus that Wang Feng had now was the true soul of the Chaos Green Lotus in the Chaos world. This hellfire was naturally not something that could be compared to back then. And with Wang Feng's current level, he naturally understood that this hellfire was related to the origin of karma. And the origin of karma was the origin of the will of fate. It was extremely powerful and complicated. Even if a universe-level life form accidentally got infected, it would be difficult to deal with. Not to mention these life forms. Universe-level life forms were godlike existences in the divine system universe. Wang Feng didn't know which faction the god of the divine system universe was from, but he wanted to use the hands of the Nether River civilization in this universe to enslave and conquer other civilizations. But even if that god was here, he would definitely not dare to take the hellfire head-on. The Crimson God, Fox Emperor, sent news that the God War was imminent, and many factions in the divine system universe had sent out gods to inquire about him. Because the matter over there was getting bigger and bigger, now the entire divine system universe knew about the divine system. He, the native, could be considered to be quite famous. It was possible that some gods had already noticed his tracks. It was also possible that the gods over there were recently carrying out a universe hunt, and many unit universes would be affected by this hunt, causing many unit universes to be involved by the gods of the divine system universe. He told himself to be careful. The Crimson God Fox Emperor only reminded him. Wang Feng considered whether this universe would also have the intervention of the divine system universe. Moreover, this ceremony was just the right time to test it out. If the gods of the divine system universe were to intervene with their power, they could greatly improve the civilization level of this universe. As long as they chose a civilization, conquered all the other civilizations in one fell swoop, and presented them as sacrifices, they could hunt this universe into their pocket at the fastest speed. Then, with so many civilizations gathered at this ceremony, wasn't it the best opportunity? When King Taotai appeared, Wang Feng was already sure that this universe was targeted by the gods of the divine system universe. At this moment, the entire ceremony square fell into shock. Even Angel Yan, who was holding the angel sword, was so shocked that he couldn't control himself. Wasn't this too exaggerated? It was solved so easily. What kind of flame was this? Angel Yan took a deep breath, feeling as if everything had been turned upside down. She wasn't the only one. At this moment, the representatives of the other civilizations were doing the same. Judging from the ability displayed by King Taotai just now, they asked themselves if they could find any way to suppress King Taoye's arrogance in a short time. Who would have thought that it would be gone in the blink of an eye? Countless eyes stared at the angel sword in Angel Yan's hand. They were all guessing what kind of changes had happened to the sword. Although the Angel Nebula's void weapon was strong, it was not like this. It was obvious that something had been done. Combined with the place where Angel Yan had gone, the representatives of the various civilizations had a rough idea of what was going on. Indeed, only a power that transcends the universe can resist a power that transcends the universe. She whispered. She felt that if she had enough time, she could also crack the super gene of the Taotai King. It was an ability that targeted the super gene mutation of angels. That must be the ability of his void engine. However, she knew that he couldn't do it to such an exaggerated degree. In a single strike, not even a speck of dust remained. No, to be precise, only a pile of scrap metal was left. King Taoye's entire soul had disappeared without a trace. King Taotai is gone. It's time for him to appear, right? She looked at the sky. She knew that King Taotai was just an appetizer. But in fact, even if it was just an appetizer, as King Taotai had said before, it could really defeat the Angel Nebula in one fell swoop, because no angel in the Angel Nebula could deal with him. With the disappearance of King Taotai, the eyes of the angel warriors were burning with passion. At this moment, a battleship of the demon civilization appeared in midair. Two figures fell from the battleship and landed steadily in the square of the ceremony. One of the demons with a huge body even shattered the white, jade-like ground in the center of the square. I say, Yaktos, you better be careful. This is the territory of the angels. Can't you land steadily? If you damage the flowers and plants here, the angels might just chase us out. Don't you know what's going on? Following that, a voice filled with curses rang out. The expressions of the representatives of the various civilizations changed. The demon queen Cold Ice. There was no one present who did not recognize this voice. The demon queen Cold Ice was one of the 3 kings of the Angel Nebula. Later, because of a disagreement, she betrayed the Angel Nebula and joined the demon civilization. She became the supreme queen of the demon race and was incompatible with the angel civilization. Not many people knew about this history. It was just that when Holy Keisha fell and King Tianxio succeeded, this matter was too big. Those with a slightly higher level of civilization knew a little about it. And this demon queen Cold Eyes had a perverse personality. She did everything according to her preferences, but her strength was incomparable. Under her rule, the demon civilization grew day by day. If it wasn't for the angel civilization suppression, perhaps the current leader of the universe wouldn't be the Angel Nebula. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I haven't adapted to this power yet. The large demon, known as Yaktos, lowered his head and revealed an ashamed expression. Cold Ice glanced around. It's really quiet. It seems that King Taotai failed. I knew it. Your King Tianxiu organized this ceremony and even invited me here. It's not that simple. Cold Ice's gaze fell on Angel Yin. She said with a smile, Angel Yin, did you kill King Tao Tai? You grown up. As expected of that be asterisk TCH Keisha's favorite. You have potential. Then, her gaze turned and fell on the long sword in Angel Yan's hand. Suddenly, her eyelids twitched. She vaguely felt a trace of death. Cold Ice frowned slightly. Cold Ice, is your goal the same as King Tao? Yes. Angel Yin held the long sword and asked indifferently. Since when did demons and Tao Tais wallow in the same mire? Don't make it sound so bad. What wallow in a mire? Cold Ice sneered. This is cooperation. It's just to complete the same mission. There's no other way. After receiving someone's favor, I have to do something for them. So, I advise the Angel Nebula. Cold Ice coughed a few times. Join us. This way, there won't be any wars in our universe. You, on the other hand, have a special identity. After joining us, you'll definitely be stronger than you were in the Angel Nebula. Although it's a bit cliché, it's the truth. Cold Ice shrugged. You can understand it. It's probably an existence that you and I can't resist. It can make us stronger. The premise is that you have to give something in return. What thing? Yourself, Cold Ice said, and the entire Angel Nebula. End of chapter. Chapter 1760. Angel Yin looked at her in shock. The representatives of the various civilizations were confused, but they seemed to understand a little. The gods of the God System universe are using such a violent method to conquer this universe? Qianren Xue was so angry that she laughed. Violent and direct is often the simplest method. Wang Feng said slowly, the history of the God System universe. The red deity Fox Emperor gave me some information. If the gods want to gain more power, they need endless faith power. The fastest and simplest way to obtain faith power is this violent and direct method. Angel Yin is an angel with the power of destiny in this universe. To a certain extent, she has great potential. Once the gods obtain such a life form with the power of destiny, they will cultivate it vigorously and use their own divine power to brainwash it. Using absolute power and faith, they will imprint the mark of the gods in the latter soul. Wang Feng continued. This way, they can develop her into a powerful minion and god seed of the gods. She will never betray the gods and will be one forever. There is no need to cultivate any emotions, because in the God System universe, any minion that is cultivated from emotions is not only troublesome to the gods, it is also meaningless. At the same time, the gods will also receive a powerful boost. In terms of pure strength, the Demon Queen is right. Wang Feng shook his head slightly. If she becomes a minion and god seed of the gods, she can even surpass your current strength. Qianren Xue's heart turned cold when she heard this. The level of their civilization was considered high, but she didn't expect that the God System universe, which was far beyond their civilization, would be like this. The system of the God System universe is perfect. Wang Feng sighed. They have studied this system for so many years. Regardless of their standpoint, it has nothing to do with good or bad, because it is indeed something that benefits both sides. Qianren Xue couldn't refute. In fact, this was the case. Other things aside, the other party's civilization was more advanced than yours and could crush you. This was something that couldn't be refuted. Then what do you plan to do? Qianren Xue asked. Regardless of my standpoint, the system of the God System universe is fine. Wang Feng smiled. But I have my own standpoint. From my standpoint, what they're doing is naturally unacceptable to me. Otherwise, wouldn't that war be meaningless? That's more like it. Qianren Xue snorted and flew out. Angel Yin shouldn't be able to deal with this Demon Queen. At the same time, the Qianren Xue flew out. The Angel Yin made his move. She couldn't stand the Demon Queen's words. Hey, why are you in such a hurry? Isn't it good to consider more? Cold Chill sighed when she saw Angel Yin raiding. Queen, I'll do it. Yaktos pulled out the giant sword on his back and said in a deep voice. You can't. However, Cold Chill shook her head with a solemn expression. The sword in the little angel's hand is a bit special. Even the Taotai king, who was strengthened by the gods and possessed an immortal body that could resurrect infinitely, couldn't defeat her. You definitely can't do it either. In any case, you've followed me for so many years. How can I watch you throw your life away? Get out of my way. This little girl can't deal with me. Cold Ice kicked Kayaktos. She knew what had happened to King Taodai. Neither would he appear now. It could be said that it had already exceeded the scope of the original plan. Originally, King Taodai was used to lure King Tianxiu out. Now, instead of luring King Tianxiu out, he was killed by the Angel Yen Raider. Otherwise, Yaktos would still be of great use. Cold Chill subconsciously glanced at the other palace out of the corner of her eyes. She frowned slightly. At this moment, the Angel Yen Raider arrived. There was a burning aura in the soul, but the body couldn't feel it. Cold Chill was shocked. The flame on the angel's sword directly touched the soul. No wonder King Taodai died so miserably. God, suppressing whip. Cold Chill's palm pulled toward the void and immediately pulled out a long whip with divine light. It emitted a peerless light like a gemstone. In an instant, her soul couldn't feel the burning aura. Go. This thing was also a divine item bestowed by that person. She studied it for a while, but couldn't figure out. However, Cold Chill knew that this whip wasn't ordinary. Everything else aside, any life that touched this braid would become the purest of demons. Not only would their life form and thoughts become demons, but they would also have a powerful demon-divine body and unlock the secrets of their genes. The whip and the angel's sword touched slightly, and there was an ear-piercing sound. The long whip unleashed powerful mental sound waves, causing the souls of all the representatives of the civilizations present to tremble. It was as if they saw a magnificent figure standing in the sky and staring at them, as if they were ants. Their souls didn't dare to move. At the same time, the karmic fire on the angel's sword climbed up and wrapped around the whip like a fire dragon, burning with a sizzling sound. The Angel Yen Raider groaned, his face pale. Clearly, he was also shocked by the whip. Go away. Cold Chill shook the whip in her hand and sent the Angel Yen Raider flying with it. Almost in an instant, the long whip shrank dramatically and began to crack. Lung Bing's eyes suddenly shrank. She looked on in disbelief. He had thought that he would be able to easily subdue the little angel with such a simple exchange of blows. Unexpectedly, not only did the whip leave her hand and she didn't dare to touch it, but even the god-suppressing whip itself was heavily damaged. F***CK, what the hell is this? Cold Chill looked at the god-suppressing whip on the ground in the distance. She actually had the urge to pick it up. She had a feeling that once she picked it up, she would most likely burn herself. That was close. I'm fine. Cold Chill heaved a sigh of relief. However, from the corner of her eye, she saw King Tianxiu flying over. Cold Chill shouted, Carl, how long are you going to wait? King Tianxiu has already appeared. As soon as she said that, King Tianxiu had already flown to the square and caught the Angel Yen Raider. However, at this moment, the void gathered. A man in a long robe appeared in the void like a phantom. He looked very ordinary, like an ordinary human scholar. However, the moment he appeared, the eyelids of the countless representatives and even the angel warriors twitched. Death God Carl. This guy who once used the lives of countless planets and civilizations for research was definitely the nightmare and fear of many civilizations. The infamous Nether River civilization was ruled by him. King Tianxiu quietly looked at the four gods Carl. Her expression changed slightly. I say, King Tianxiu, don't tell me you think you can beat the two of us. Cold Chill heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Carl appear. Her god-suppressing whip was rendered unusable by a nameless fire. This already made her uncomfortable. If Carl didn't appear, King Tianxiu would be easy to deal with. However, the king who modified the angel sword and stood behind King Tianxiu didn't know what to do. Cold Chill naturally guessed that the fire was obviously not the power of the Angel Nebula. It could only be the power of the main character of this ceremony, the king who had yet to appear. 2 against 1. You will die miserably, Cold Chill said with a smile. You might even die more miserably than Keisha back then. Oh, Qian Rinxue raised an eyebrow and suddenly said, 2 against 1? Who said it's just me? With that, Qian Rinxue looked at Wang Feng and nodded slightly, as if he was sending a signal to the latter. Chapter 1761. Qian Rinxue looked at Liang Bing in silence. At this moment, Angel Yin, who was on the side, vaguely remembered Queen Keisha. Queen Keisha had fallen into such a situation. She had been schemed against by these two and had fallen helplessly. Angel Yan's heart thumped. She was not the only one. Many angel warriors were watching this scene, especially Queen Keisha's guards. They felt like they were dreaming of the past. You mean she? Liang Bing smiled. Sorry, she is not qualified to participate in this war. With that, Liang Bing waved her hand at Yaktos. If she interferes with our battle, you go and stop her. With your current strength, you can even capture her, let alone stop her. Understood, Yaktos replied. After saying that, he looked at she seriously at the side. Obviously, Liang Bing thought she understood what Sky Blade Monarch meant. She thought only she could help Sky Blade Monarch. Many of the civilization representatives thought the same. Some of them wanted to step forward and help. You don't have to. However, before they could do so, Qian Rinxue interrupted them. The difference in strength is too great. You can't help me. Many of the civilization representatives looked ashamed. This was true. Even Sun Wukong from the Cerulean planet did not step forward. This was because he knew very well that in a battle of this level, they would only be a burden if they stepped forward. Panjun is just going to watch? Rena said through clenched teeth. The angels are allies. Apart from she from the Angel Nebula, Panjun is definitely capable of fighting Liang Bing. However, these two groups are coming aggressively. They're not targeting the Liang planet, but the angel civilization. If he steps forward, the Liang heavenly path will be involved. He'll fight, but he can't face these two directly. Gu Shaolin thought for a moment and said, at most, he'll help a few times to show the Liang heavenly path's intentions. However, if he and Sky Blade Monarch fight these two groups together, it means that the Liang planet will have to participate in this war. That's obviously impossible. Although they were allies, the Fiery Sun Heavenly Path and the Angel Civilization were not so close. Moreover, whether it's Carl or Cold Chill, these two are even more powerful than they were during the Galactic War. Goku closed his eyes and sensed. Then now that she is being held back, is Heaven Cultivation King the only one facing these two fellows? Wait a minute. As Reina spoke, she suddenly recalled something. Where's the king? Everyone was stunned. That's right, where's the king? As if recalling something, they all turned their gazes in a certain direction. All of a sudden, in the distant palace, a bright flower suddenly flickered. The light of the flower extended in all directions. It exuded a unique energy fluctuation. Countless spots of light bloomed from the flower and gathered in the air. Gradually, these light spots converged to form a human figure. Lung Bing frowned slightly. Looking at the scene in the distance, her heart skipped a beat. A bad premonition arose from the bottom of her heart. Carl, what's going on? She looked to the other side. Carl was silent for a moment before he said, the calculations of the great clock are the sacred atoms. Sacred atoms, isn't that Keisha's sacred body? As Lung Bing spoke, she suddenly froze. Then, she looked into the distance in shock. It was precisely because of this. The light seemed to have finished converging. Streams of energy gathered from all directions and converged on the human figure formed by the light. At this moment, countless pairs of eyes were watching. They all took a deep breath. Lung Bing, since you've sensed this king, how do you plan to deal with this king this time? A mellow voice with a hint of intelligence and majesty faintly sounded. The bodies of countless angel warriors trembled. Hearing this voice, they knew who it was. F***CK. Lung Bing's face turned pale. Her expression was extremely ugly. She had thought of 10,000 possibilities, but she had never thought of this one. This voice belonged to that B***TCH, Sacred Keisha. How? Is this possible? Lung Bing rubbed her eyes slightly. Her voice was low. Her sacred body was decomposed into sacred atoms. Weren't they scattered throughout the universe by your great clock? Even if she was resurrected, theoretically, it would take at least a few 100 million years. How long has she been dead? Less than a few decades? The sacred atoms are converging. Why can't your great clock sense it? Sacred Keisha had died because of a scheme. Furthermore, it wasn't a normal death. Her body and soul had turned into sacred atoms. The sacred atoms couldn't be destroyed. This meant that she couldn't be killed. However, if these sacred atoms could be scattered all over the universe, there would be countless of them. Then, even if Sacred Keisha could be resurrected, it would take at least a few 100 million years. By then, the universe would have changed greatly. Even if she was resurrected, it would be useless. However, how long has it been since Sacred Keisha died? Carl didn't speak. Under the black robe, no expression could be seen. Countless pairs of eyes looked at the sky, bathed in the light gathered by the flower. As the light gradually disappeared, a golden-haired woman walked out. She was wearing the Angel Nebula's king attire. It was the same attire as King Tianxiu, but it was a king with a different style. King Tianxiu, Sacred Keisha. None of the angels knew how she was resurrected. Even she didn't know. However, she had a premonition in his heart. That king had mentioned King Tianxiu that day. However, she didn't expect that the gift would be King Tianxiu himself. Originally, she thought that king meant to cultivate another King Tianxiu, such as Angel Yan. However, he didn't expect that he would directly resurrect Sacred Keisha. This was many times more exaggerated than cultivating King Tianxiu. She couldn't imagine how difficult it would be. In such a short time, even if Angel Nebula had a big clock, it was impossible to resurrect Keisha so quickly. Keisha walked to King Tianxiu's side with a smile on her face. I didn't expect that I could be resurrected so happily. Keisha said slowly. I didn't expect it either. Qianrenxue nodded. When she knew that Wang Feng wanted to resurrect Sacred Keisha, she was also stunned for a long time. She thought that it was impossible. The sacred atoms scattered all over the universe were countless. Gathering them together was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Even with a big clock, it was difficult to calculate the position of every sacred atom. Qianrenxue knew that Wang Feng had created a special celestial calculator and named it Snow Epiphyllum. However, Qianrenxue didn't know that Wang Feng had used the Snow Epiphyllum to calculate all the sacred atoms and how he gathered such a large number of sacred atoms together. That's a pity. I thought you knew a little. Sacred Keisha glanced at the windowsill of the palace behind her. End of chapter. Chapter 1762. The person who was most surprised by her resurrection was naturally herself. Although she had turned into countless holy atoms, her consciousness did not disappear. It was just sealed in countless holy atoms. It was just that she could not control these holy atoms that were so far away. She could only wait for the universe to change and let these holy atoms slowly gather. Therefore, she was aware of the changes in the universe. However, should we deal with these two first before we talk? Qianrenxue asked. She was now very curious about how Wang Feng did it. However, the enemy was still in front of her. Keisha nodded slightly. At this moment, with her resurrection, every warrior in the Angel Nebula was extremely excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. King against king. Is this fair? On the windowsill, Wang Feng smiled slightly. Coming to the Angel Nebula to resurrect Holy Keisha was one of his plans. There was only one reason, which was to liberate Qianrenxue. Qianrenxue saw the Angel Nebula as her responsibility. After all, she had been here for thousands of years, almost 10,000 years. This was much longer than when she was still human. Her sense of belonging to the Angel Nebula was naturally stronger than that of a human. With Holy Keisha in charge of the Angel Nebula, Qianrenxue had more time to do other things. Moreover, because Qianrenxue could not easily give up the Angel Nebula and her ambition for herself, she did not want to give up the origin of Tribulation Origin God in her body. Wang Feng did not take it by force. However, He knew that Qianren was not a selfish person. She did not give him the origin of tribulation origin god because she was worried that her strength would be greatly reduced. Then, the Angel Nebula would definitely suffer a serious blow. She had to be responsible for the Angel Nebula. Therefore, she did not give him the last origin of tribulation origin god. Now, that Holy Keisha was here, she could relieve some of her responsibilities. She could do many more things and even reach a higher level. At the same time, the resurrection of Holy Keisha, the leader of the Angel Nebula, was enough to shock the Angel Nebula to a certain extent. Many angels in the Angel Nebula did not join Qianren Dark Order. They still believed in Keisha's righteous order. Resurrecting Holy Keisha was not only a favor to the leader, but also a favor to the Angel Nebula. Moreover, this kind of favor was not something that anyone could do. Even if those life forms from the divine system universe came, they wouldn't be able to revive Holy Keisha so quickly. Wang Feng snickered. It was not difficult to calculate the location of the sacred atoms. The snow Sirius cloud he created was based on the universe model of the primordial origin. Compared to a celestial calculator like the big clock, it was a level higher. He easily figured out the number and position of all the holy atoms. Assembling them was the difficult part. However, Wang Feng had transformed the Pangu axe into the Bell of Chaos. As for the Chaos Bell, as a connate cardinal treasure of the primordial world, it had powerful functions. In addition to suppressing the heavens, it could also distort the power of space-time, allowing one to freely travel through time and space in the universe. Wang Feng used the Bell of Chaos to travel through the universe without wasting any time. In the blink of an eye, he could gather all the holy atoms and the seats into one. In the end, he used his divine power to condense all the holy atoms and awaken Keisha's consciousness. Only then did he revive Holy Keisha. It was easy to say, but it was very difficult for the heavenly gods of the divine system universe to do so. As the power left behind by the primordial world, the Pangu Axe True Soul and the Chaos Green Lotus True Soul would be even more useful in the future. At this moment, the battle between Keisha and Qianren began. Wang Feng glanced casually. He did not care about the outcome of the battle, because as long as the god of the divine system universe did not descend, he would not personally make a move. And regardless of winning or losing, Wang Feng believed that the god of the divine system universe would definitely appear personally. The power level of this universe was not low. Even the gods of the divine system universe wanted to play with this universe wantonly, unless the other party was a primordial cosmos god. But gods of that level stood at the peak of the divine system universe system. It was impossible for them to dare to use such methods. Whether it is the ability of King Tao Tai or the powerful strength of that whip. The god who wants to hunt this universe is most likely an ordinary heavenly god. Wang Feng thought, at most he is a little stronger than my opponent from the Dongwang divine system. They might even be close. After all, that person from the Dongwang divine system was a genius god of the Dongwang divine system. The battle between the four peak existences in the universe was extremely powerful. Fortunately, the angel civilization was prepared. To be precise, Qianren was prepared. They knew that a great battle would occur in this ceremony. They had already reinforced the city on the Angel Main Star, and the laws of the Angel Star were also strengthened. Otherwise, the Angel Nebula would most likely not be able to withstand the battle. What surprised Wang Feng was that according to Qianren Carl was supposed to be an illusory body, a Carl that did not have much actual combat power. He actually had a real body. Wang Feng could tell at a glance that he was an illusory body. It was very similar to the void life form, 80% of the original. And the void life form did not have a real body. The fleshly body could not withstand this void life form. I see. This fleshly body was condensed using the power of faith. Wang Fengxin smiled and saw through Carl's fleshly body at a glance. The divine system universe is really something. Using a fleshly body condensed from the power of faith as a carrier to carry this void life form. It seems that the divine system universe has a very high level of research on void life forms. A void life form with a fleshly body not only had immunity to void life forms, but also had the power of the fleshly body and could unlock the genetic code. In short, not only was it immune to all attacks, but it also had extremely powerful power. For a scholar-type expert like Carl, this was the biggest shortcoming. With the help of the big clock, he was basically undefeated. Any form of attack would be completely calculated in front of him, and at the same time, he could easily break it. The immunity of the void life form could even be immune to the karma of the epidemic, because it was not a normal life form. In this universe, void life forms were called illusory bodies. Although the original Carl could not defeat Holy Kaisha could not kill Carl either. To defeat Kaisha, the only way was to change the rules of the universe. In a sense, this guy is invincible and undefeatable in this universe, especially after being strengthened by that god. He has a special, fleshly body. Wang Feng smiled. However, he was only invincible in this universe. To him, he could break it with a flick of his finger. In front of him, void life forms were like fish on a chopping board. End of chapter. Chapter 1763. The battle between the two sides ended very quickly. Even the resurrected Holy Keisha couldn't deal with the invincible death god Carl. There were two legendary kings in the Angel Nebula. Both of them stood at the top of the universe. Their initial goal was to get rid of the demon Queen Kolbing first, and then deal with death god Carl. The process went smoothly. The two kings joined forces and captured Kolbing at lightning speed. As for killing her, it was too difficult and impossible. Even the Taotai king couldn't be killed by the known means of this universe, let alone Kolbing. Although the long whip in her hand was shot down by the angel Yin, she had the same ability as the Taotai king. She unlocked the super gene in her eyes and gained some powerful ability. If he guessed correctly, Wang Feng believed that this ability should be given by some powerful universe will. Obviously, it was the work of that god. The power level of this universe didn't reach the level of the universe's will. Keisha and Qianren Xue joined forces and trapped Cold Bing in the middle of the square at lightning speed before she could react. A layer of black light spread around her like a black hole, firmly sucking her in. That was Qianren Xue's means. When the Angel Nebula was attacked by the leader of the Heavenly Palace Order, Xianyi had a special black hole engine that could create black holes to fight against enemies. Later, when the Angel Nebula was in danger, Qianren Xue returned and repelled Xianyi. Together with He Shi, they developed this black hole engine and carried it in the divine body of Qianren Xue. But because it was an improved version of the black hole engine, it wasn't afraid of the original black hole engine's ability to absorb enemies. Because the created black holes couldn't be controlled. As an improved version of the black hole engine, it could be controlled. Of course, it wasn't as powerful. However, it was more than enough to trap someone. But then, the two angel kings faced death god Carl. It was a completely different matter. Carl had combat ability, plus his own big clock, and his understanding of the universe. He was basically suppressing Keisha and Qianren Xue. But Wang Feng knew that Carl couldn't win against the two. Although he was a void life, he was given a special physical body. But in the end, he did not surpass the limits of this universe. Keisha and Qianren Xue both had angelic bodies. If they weren't ambushed and cold ice wasn't around, they wouldn't be able to do anything. Carl couldn't defeat Keisha and Qianren Xue either. The three of them fought from the south to the north, from the east to the west. They broke through the atmosphere outside the planet. Even when they reached the outside of the Angel Nebula, there was no result. Carl had the upper hand, but that was all. There was no doubt about the power of the divine body. If they continued fighting like this, they might be able to win after a few years. But it had been too long. Carl's body was condensed from faith power. After such a long battle, it was easy to lose faith power. It's about time for that god to show himself. It's not good for this stalemate to continue. Wang Feng thought to himself. However, contrary to Wang Feng's expectations, several days passed. In the past few days, the representatives of many civilizations who had flown out to watch the battle did not even blink. It was as if only a few breaths had passed, and he was afraid that he would not be able to see the result of the battle. Still not showing up. On the fourth day, Wang Feng looked at the faint light in the sky. 3 streams of light fell from the sky. It was the 3 of them who had returned to Angel from the universe. And that god still hadn't shown up. Patience is good. Wang Feng thought for a moment. It seems that this god should know that there is another god in this universe besides her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to hold herself back. Since you don't want to show yourself, I'll provoke you to show yourself. Wang Feng sneered. At this moment, Qian Rinxue flew back to the palace covered in dust. Her eyes flashed with unwillingness. Wang Feng, I want to defeat him. Give me an idea. After fighting for a few days, she had been suppressed. It was a 2-on-1 situation. Even though she knew that Carl had become so strong because of the gods and the divine system universe, she couldn't bear it. But she couldn't bear it anymore. Previously, this Carl had the big clock and was no match for her. Otherwise, after the Galactic War, he wouldn't have stayed in the Styx Nebula and not dared to act rashly. Now, he was being suppressed and beaten so miserably. Although it wasn't fatal, this kind of grievance was very uncomfortable, and she couldn't find any solution. Should I do it myself? Wang Feng said. I don't need you to do it yourself. I want to defeat him myself. Qian Rinxue's tone was very stubborn. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, I'll lend you the origin to dispel the latter's illusory state. This way, your attack will work. What origin? Qian Rinxue frowned slightly. The void origin. One of the 7 origins left by the origin tribulation godly king, Wang Feng said. The void origin was the origin that the origin tribulation godly king studied to deal with the void life. Previously, the dark demon realm's black tide, which was the void life from the dark plane, invaded the dark demon realm. Wang Feng sucked the black tide into the ancestral realm and studied those void life. But at that time, Wang Feng didn't have the void origin and couldn't use it. Now it was different. Okay, Qian Rinxue gritted her teeth and handed the angelic long sword to Wang Feng. I don't want the origin. You can temporarily give the origin to this long sword so that I can deal with him. By the way, is that flame of yours effective? Karmic fire is ineffective against the void life, Wang Feng said. The void life was not corporeal and had no karmic connection. Karmic fire naturally wouldn't be effective. Otherwise, those void life wouldn't be so troublesome. Wang Feng took the angelic long sword and pondered for a moment. Then he offered a snow epiphyllum and gently pressed it into the angelic long sword. In an instant, the imprint of a snow epiphyllum appeared on the blade of the long sword. This snow epiphyllum was originally made for the Angel Nebula. I'll attach the void origin to it and place it on your angelic longsword. This way, during the battle, the snow epiphyllum's calculation frequency will be enough for you to perfectly unleash some of the void origin's abilities and analyze the latter's illusory state. Wang Feng said, however, the illusory state can only be removed temporarily. If you want to remove it permanently, you'll have to change the rules. Or, you can integrate it into samsara. He wanted to use the void life from the black tide to first use the void origin to decipher the void life to a certain extent. Then, he would integrate the life energy into the ancestral realm's 9 paths of samsara and create the first batch of ancestral realm's 9 clans. Qian Rinxue waved his hand. I understand. Anyway, after removing it, it'll be fine as long as we can defeat him. Without the illusory state, he can only use his corporeal body. This way, we can destroy his corporeal body. Let's see what he can do then. Chapter 1764. After that, Qian Rinxue returned to the battlefield. I've been injured a lot since you left. Keisha's injuries were several times more than Qian Rinxue's, but her tone was still calm. Don't worry, I won't let you get hurt for nothing. Qian Rinxue held the angelic sword in his hand and felt the power in it. He looked at Carl in the distance. Carl was in a very special state at this time. His illusory body was wrapped around his physical body, and there was a black scythe in his hand. The illusory body was like a double image, making all the attacks of Keisha and Qian Renshue ineffective. But because there was a physical body in the illusory body, he was able to exert great power. It was very rogue. Qian Renshue held the long sword in his hand and slashed at Carl. Carl still didn't dodge. His expression was calm, as if he didn't care at all, because he knew that Keisha and Qian Renshue's attacks were ineffective. In the known universe, there was no power that could deal with illusory bodies, or directly rewrite the rules of the universe and define illusory bodies. But that required more calculations than the big clock, simulating the civilization of the universe to a very high level and beyond direct rewriting of the definition. Otherwise, it would never be possible to attack the illusory body. But in the next moment, the long sword easily cut through his illusory body. It was directly cut in two, revealing his body. It was as if an illusion had been slashed apart. He didn't even have time to react. This incomprehensible power made his heart sink. He knew that king had made a move again. Otherwise, this heaven cultivation king's angelic sword wouldn't have any effect on him. Qian Renshue cut through the latter's illusory body with a sword, and a happy smile appeared on his face. Your illusory body can't take it anymore. Your ultimate fear, thinking that the void is the end of civilization. Theoretically, it can't work anymore. Oh, that's right. You accepted the power of other universes. How can you still take the original path? I say, Carl, you'd better ask the one behind you to come out. Your illusory body has been broken. You're no match for us at all. Qian Renshue would know that Wang Feng was asking the god who interfered with this universe to come out. Naturally, he would cooperate with him. I knew it. Keisha walked over. You are already an illusory body. How can you have a physical body? Carl, who's behind you? Another universe. She vaguely understood something and turned around to look at Wang Feng. She knew very well who was the one who resurrected her. The one behind you is very ambitious. Keisha's eyes turned cold. Carl snorted. He's an existence that surpasses the ultimate terror, a height that this universe can never reach. I'm not here to destroy you, but to give you new life. That one sentence had already revealed the truth. What new life? Keisha chuckled. Like you a puppet now? Like you. Your soul and mind seem to have been changed. Is this a new life? It is undeniable that you have indeed obtained greater power. But you're not you anymore. Then what's the point? Keisha sighed. Before, although you and I were on opposite sides, you had your own goals. Even if you became an illusory body, you only wanted to study the essence of this universe. But now, you're more like a tool that has lost its soul. Carl was stunned and took a deep breath. His eyes, which had never shown any emotion before, were now filled with anger. You've broken through his defenses, Qian Renshue said. Keisha, as expected of an old rival. You know him best. Keisha shook her head. Cold Ice is my sister after all. I know from Cold Ice. But Cold Ice hasn't reached Carl's level. At this moment, Carl sneered. If that's the case, then prepare to welcome my lord's anger. I know that the king directed you to do this, to lure my lord out. But he doesn't know what kind of existence he's provoking. I'm only doing this to protect this universe. It's an honor to let you angels serve my lord. You don't understand because you can't understand my lord's power. With that, his figure disappeared. He waved his hand. In the universe outside Angel Planet, a huge magic array began to appear. The magic array flashed in all directions around Angel Planet. Moreover, it seemed to have attracted some powerful force. It caused the entire planet to tremble. Even the nebula began to tremble. What's going on? Why do I have the urge to kneel down? What a terrifying power. What is it? This huge tremor shook the hearts of almost all the lives on Angel Planet. But they didn't see anything. That kind of absolute pressure seemed to be able to make them unable to breathe. It's coming. Wang Feng relaxed his shoulders. He didn't have a good impression of the lives in the Divine System universe. Moreover, according to the news from Red God Fox Emperor, this god obviously wanted to hunt this universe and seize the power of faith of the lives in it. He didn't even hesitate to start a war in this universe to quickly conquer this universe's civilization. Wang Feng didn't like the divine system universe's methods. Undeniably, he wasn't necessarily wrong, but if they provoked him, he would definitely do it. Moreover, his relationship with the divine system universe was very subtle. At the same time, the light array lit up. A terrifying giant shadow that covered the entire sky rose from the sky. The giant shadow covered the entire angel planet. It was a giant shadow that seemed to be alive. It seemed to be standing in the distant starry sky of the universe, staring at the many lives in the universe. On the great light shore, the giant shadow emitted endless immortal light. All the angels in the angel starfield could see this light shadow. Even if they had never seen it before, they all wanted to kneel down and worship the giant shadow. It was as if that was the instinct of life. Even existences at the level of Qian Rinxue and Keisha trembled violently. It's even stronger than Mo Tiance. Qian Rinxue's heart trembled violently. She had seen a universe-level life form before, although the Mo Tiance that appeared in the Douluo world was only a consciousness clone. Qian Rinxue had experienced that kind of power. And now, this giant shadow was even more terrifying. It even made her lose any desire to fight. She could at least exchange a few blows with Mo Tiance back then. But now, what exactly is this? Keisha's voice was low and stuttering, as if she was suppressing some impulse. The impulse to kneel down and worship, as noble as she was. She had her own will and wouldn't allow herself to do such a thing. Moreover, she was facing an intruder, live or die. It was at this moment that the godlike giant shadow spoke a few simple words. End of chapter. Chapter 1765. The magnificent light and shadow stared at the entire angel main planet. The majesty exuding from his body shocked all the life on this planet. The fear that came from the bottom of their hearts and even their souls was something they had never encountered before. The pressure of the life level was not something they could resist. Only a few could barely stand and look at the light and shadow with their own will. Die or live. It was like the incantation of judgment. It gave them a choice. No one dared to doubt the authenticity of this sentence. I've said it before. I've only come because I want you all to transcend to a higher level. Carl looked at Keisha and Qian Rinxue, whose expressions had changed greatly, and said lightly, "Not only you, but also all the life in this universe. Our civilization can't explore beyond this universe. The big clock can only calculate the civilizations within the universe. The universe model deduced can't go beyond this universe itself. Just like the divine body technology, your divine body is already the top divine body in this universe. But in the universe model deduced by the big clock, what is above the divine body? Is there anything that can surpass your divine body? There is, but the big clock can't deduce it. In a universe model, there is no such civilization technology, because it has already surpassed the limits of this universe. I originally thought that the void matter could surpass this civilization, but later, when I became an illusory body, I realized that it still wasn't. Carl shook his head. So, I know that if I want to transcend this universe, obtain a higher civilization technology, and study beyond this universe, I can only communicate with a higher level of life. I was lucky to meet my lord. He used a flat tone to simply explain everything. Keisha's expression calmed down. She looked at the light and shadow. Sure enough, those who could walk with Carl were not good people. She did not doubt that if they did not choose to submit, this magnificent life like the light and shadow might destroy them and even the universe. We walk different paths, Keisha said lightly. It turns out that you are still you. In order to study your ultimate fear, in order to study more powerful civilization technology, we were able to easily slaughter the lives of many planets. It was destined that we could not be on the same path. That's right, Qian Rinxue said coldly. Not only are you not on the same path as us, You are not on the same path as most of the civilizations in this universe. After the Galactic War, I thought that you would change your mind a little. Looks like you can't change your nature. Carl didn't say anything else. He simply turned around to look at the figure of light and knelt in the void. My lord, they do not intend to worship your power and wisdom. After that, Carl turned around and looked at Keisha, Qian Rinxue, and the thousands of lives on the main planet of angels. At your level, I can't understand why you still view those ordinary lives as important. Carl shook his head. It's impossible to get in touch with a higher level of civilization and strength without paying a price. Whether it was when I was researching the ultimate fear or now. It's all the same. This was actually not wrong. Keisha, Tianxiu monarch, even if today didn't exist, if you want to surpass your own civilization and surpass the limits of this universe. Carl continued. Even if today's situation didn't exist, sooner or later, you will still face destruction. If you want to get in touch with a higher level of civilization and wisdom, you have to pay a price. After he finished speaking, the surroundings were very quiet. You're right, Keisha suddenly said. There is indeed a price to pay, but the premise is that it depends on who it is. As for the one behind you, judging from your nature, it's incompatible with our beliefs. Carl was slightly stunned. Qian Rinxue also snorted coldly, as if he understood what Keisha was referring to. Since I can be resurrected today, I know that I've already gotten in touch with it, Keisha said lightly. You mean? Carl was slightly stunned. Suddenly, he felt that the figure of light behind him dimmed slightly. It was as if the god's radiance was slightly covered by something. A figure slowly rose up from below. It was the king, the main character of today's ceremony. Which faction of God are you from? A calm voice resounded through the sky. It was a special kind of mental voice that caused the void to vibrate continuously. The voice seemed to be encrypted, and other lives couldn't understand it at all. They could only feel a strange mental power passing by chaotically. In an instant, the figure of light trembled slightly. It probably understood the sentence. Or rather, it was somewhat shocked that there was such a level of existence in this universe. Wang Feng, hurry up and get rid of this figure of light immediately. Qian Rinxue's eyes were filled with anger. When the figure of light appeared, the pressure on the soul level made her very unhappy. It was as if she was forced to kneel by something. This kind of pressure that was difficult to resist was simply trampling and despising all life in this universe. However, she had to admit that the other party had the strength to do so. Don't worry, Wang Feng said. He glanced at Keisha. I know. At this time, Carl slowly said, you can resurrect Keisha so quickly, so you must be an existence that transcends this universe. But my lord is different. Of course not. Wang Feng didn't answer. Keisha smiled faintly and said, the two have different ideas about civilization. How can it be the same? I'm talking about the difference in power level. Carl shook his head and said. Wang Feng smiled and didn't answer. At his level, he wouldn't argue with a stubborn guy like Carl. He would lower his own level for no reason. Now, he only needed to wait for the latter to announce his name and then kick him out of this universe. Otherwise, he would serve him with the Pangu axe. Wang Feng wasn't afraid of offending the divine system universe now. He had already offended them. I am the god of death of the Crow divine system. Who are you? Which divine system are you from? I haven't heard of any gods interfering in this universe. I discovered this not long ago. At this time, a mental transmission fell into Wang Feng's mind. God of Death, what a cliché title. In fact, Wang Feng knew that such titles were abbreviations. In fact, there was a series of suffixes. Wang Feng knew a little about the Crow divine system. It was all told by the red deity Fox Emperor. In the divine system universe, it was ranked much higher than the Dongwang divine system. There were many gods in it, but its overall strength was only in the lower middle of the divine system universe. I don't care if you discovered it or not. You're interfering now, Wang Feng said faintly. Since you don't know me, that's even better. Get out of here. How dare you? In an instant, the god of death was furious. Don't you know the rules? Even if two gods are interested in the same universe at the same time, There's no intention to ask the other gods to get out. You're provoking me. Tell me your name. Wang Fengxian laughed secretly. There was indeed no such rule in the divine system universe. Generally, when two gods were interested in the same universe at the same time, most of them would fight through the clans they obtained in the universe. For example, Karl and Holy Kaisha were already Heaven Cultivation King. But in fact, Holy Kaisha and Heaven Cultivation King weren't considered Wang Feng's clans. There was another situation, which was to directly start a war between gods. Whoever won would have the development rights of the universe. But now, the hunting situation. The divine system universe initiated the universe hunt. It was an activity that was held once every tens of thousands of years. The rewards were very generous, and the rules of the rewards were to see which god obtained the most development rights of the universe. Generally, it was used to reward gods who were at the stage of false gods or had just entered the stage of gods. Wang Feng didn't know the details of the rewards because he had never been to the divine system universe. The Crimson Deity Fox Emperor had never participated in such a universe hunt because it was internal. Native gods weren't qualified to participate. The key was that this universe hunt required one to be a false god who had not experienced any Genesis calamity and had just obtained the will of the universe to become a heavenly god. Therefore, the god of death in front of him was either a false god or a demigod, or a heavenly god who was similar to Mo Tiance, who had obtained the will of the universe but had not experienced the Genesis calamity. In this type, Wang Feng was the most proficient in dealing with it. Name, Wang Feng said indifferently. This god is called Ancestor God. I come from a place called Douluo Universe. Did you hear that clearly? This was true, but in fact, although he came from the Douluo Universe, most of his strength came from the Chaos Universe. Douluo Universe, why does this god sound familiar? Wait, which native god are you? The god of death immediately reacted. This reaction made Wang Feng sigh. It seemed like the war between gods had caused a huge commotion in the divine system universe. That's right. The god of death was stunned for a moment, and then he suddenly burst into laughter. I was wondering who it was. You are just an indigenous god of heaven. The battle between you and the fake god of the Dongwang divine system is known by all the gods in the entire divine system universe. Now that the war between gods has not started, you dare to provoke the gods of other divine systems. A native god is a native god. You know nothing about our divine system universe. This god advises you to scram back to your universe and think about how to survive the war between gods. If you beg this god might be able to give you some pointers. Otherwise, with your strength, no matter how strong you are, you will definitely lose the war between gods. This universe will definitely be mine. The god of death's tone suddenly changed. After knowing Wang Feng's identity, he wasn't afraid at all. They were both heavenly gods. He understood that Wang Feng's actual combat strength might be stronger than his. But so what? With this guy's dangerous situation, it was impossible for him to deal with him. Just the war between gods was enough to make him helpless. Now that he came to another universe, it was very likely that he wanted to increase his strength and hunt for life in this universe. Then it seems that there is no room for discussion. Wang Feng shrugged. You want to attack this god? The god of death wasn't afraid at all. To tell you the truth, you can't kill me. My true body is in the divine realm. What came down now is just a consciousness. If you destroy this consciousness, you will offend this god and indirectly offend our crow divine system. Native god, this god advises you to think clearly. It's not a big deal for you to offend a false god of Dongwang divine system in the divine system universe. You're a native god. As long as you can correct your attitude and find a strong god of the divine system universe to be your backer. Even if you lose the war between gods, nothing will happen to you. If you continue to offend the gods of the divine system universe, by then, there will be no place for you in the entire divine system universe. You and that false god haven't alarmed the primordial universe god. You still have a chance. Do you understand? The god of death finished slowly. I don't understand. Wang Feng shook his head. I only know that your true body is in the divine realm, but once this consciousness avatar is gone, your path to becoming a god will come to an end. The god of death was right. The gods of the divine system universe wouldn't die so easily. Usually, their true bodies were in the divine realm. They wouldn't directly use their true bodies to hunt other universes. Like these universes, if they directly sent down their consciousness avatars, the gods of this universe wouldn't be able to resist at all. If their true bodies came, it would cause great damage to this universe. Sure enough, hearing this, the god of death immediately fell silent. Do you think I will be afraid of your crow divine system or your divine system universe? Wang Feng's eyes flashed with a strange light. The next moment, he clenched his fist in the void. In an instant, an extremely terrifying aura spread out from his body. Back off! Wang Feng shouted in a low voice. On the other hand, the primal chaos green lotus bloomed, turning into a black lotus and falling into the sky. Then it enveloped the entire main planet. The light avatar of the god of death was in the universe, not on this planet. It was just that its body was too big, so it looked like it was enveloping the entire planet. And the true soul of Pangu Axe was too powerful. Once it attacked, a trace of its remaining aura would be enough to destroy this planet directly. It might even implicate the Angel Nebula. And the many civilizations and technologies on Angel Nebula wouldn't be able to protect it. If Wang Feng didn't protect it, all of his people would be gone before he attacked. The first thing Qianren Xue did when he heard Wang Feng's voice was to pull Holy Kaisha back to the ground. He saw Wang Feng rise into the void, and his figure seemed to be infinitely enlarged. A transparent light that illuminated the entire world flickered. It shook the sky, and a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. It was an extremely dazzling axe light, and it struck the magnificent light avatar. Violent shock waves spread out in all directions with the Angel Nebula as the center. Countless meteorites and planets were shattered at this moment. Fortunately, there were no life planets in the galaxies near the Angel Nebula. After all, the angels wouldn't allow other life forms to become their neighbors. The light avatar shattered in an instant. The god of death couldn't even speak before it turned into countless particles and dissipated in the entire universe. But before it died, as if it had seen a power that it had never seen before, or perhaps it had seen something, a hint of fear appeared in its eyes. The error-free chapters of Starting from Douluo will continue to be updated in the new Booksy Pavilion. There are no advertisements in the website. Please bookmark and recommend the new Booksy Pavilion. If you like to start from Douluo, please bookmark. New Booksy Pavilion updates the fastest from Douluo. Chapter 1766. Like the Big Bang of the universe, the light figure of the god of death was split apart by a resplendent axe light. In the entire universe, an extremely dazzling light erupted. All of this happened suddenly and quickly. There was no lingering battle, nor was there any aftermath of the battle. There was also no change in the rules of the universe. It was as if the most tyrannical power had torn apart all the rules and restrictions. That kind of power couldn't be defined by any scientific rules. The starry sky was silent. The light figure that emitted supreme divine power, the mysterious life formed behind Carl, was gone so easily. Not only was it gone, that axe light seemed to be able to directly split the entire universe. At this moment, all the life forms that felt this scene of silence seemed to be able to touch the pulse of the universe. They could hear the rhythm and tremble of the universe under this power, as if it would also be broken under this attack. That was an unparalleled power. This was the will of splitting open the heavens contained in Pangu Axe, a supreme power that could break through everything. In the words of the ancient world, it was the power to prove one's Tao with strength. Wang Feng had already comprehended most of the will of the universe in Pangu Axe, true soul. Compared to an ordinary universe-level life form, he was only missing the initial wheel calamity. Although he still lacked a physical body to fuse the 3 souls and 3 bodies and reach a perfect state. However, The three bodies all had the strength of a universe-level life form. The three souls were all initial wheel souls, and the three bodies each had their own strength. And there were no restrictions, they could be used individually. Among them, the strongest was naturally Pangu Axe, true soul, because it contained the will of splitting open the heavens. It was enough for Wang Feng to touch the universe-level life form, even if this body hadn't condensed its physical body yet. As for the other bodies, the body of the origin tribulation godly king of the god world still lacked the last source of Qian Rinchua's body to be able to fuse with the will of the universe passed down by the origin tribulation godly king. And the physical body had the will of the heavenly embryo that was cultivated together with Shi Yu, so its strength was naturally not weak. The body in the Douluo world was nurtured by the primal chaos green lotus. The primal chaos green lotus was different from Pangu Axe true soul. It didn't contain any will of the universe. However, the primal chaos green lotus had all kinds of mysteries, and that body had been nurtured by the primal chaos green lotus, so it was equally powerful. The consumption is not small. Wang Feng stood in the void and murmured. This was a consciousness clone of the god of death. Only the Pangu Axe could kill it with its supreme power, but it consumed a lot of energy. However, the god of death must have been severely injured. He had just become a heavenly god, but he was already severely injured. Wang Feng didn't even need to think about it. This god of death's future was bleak. The competition in the godly system universe was even more terrifying. As for taking revenge on him, it didn't matter. Wang Feng was not afraid at all. The War of Gods had been signed. After all, it was an agreement written by several supreme gods of the Dongwang divine system. Even if the god of death wanted to deal with him, the most he could do was launch a battle of gods. Putting aside whether he was willing or not, it would be difficult for their god system to agree to it. Luo Li of the divine system universe sect. The battle between me and the fake god of the Dongwang divine system has attracted the attention of many gods in the divine system universe. Wang Feng's face was expressionless, but he had already calculated everything clearly in his heart. The Crow Divine branch won't dare to act recklessly, unless I directly kill their god. However, the gods would not fall so easily. The gods rarely used their true bodies in their divine realms. Usually, they would stay in their divine realms and spread their thoughts across the universe, which was enough to conquer many unit universes. Only during the War of Gods would their divine realms and true bodies move together. This universe is considered peaceful now. Wang Feng turned around and floated down leisurely. With his strength, he would naturally be able to crush a mere clone formed from faith consciousness. Otherwise, Emotiance wouldn't have died so miserably. However, even a clone of the consciousness of faith couldn't be defeated in this universe. Otherwise, when Qianren Xue returned to the Douluo world and encountered Emotian's clone, he wouldn't have died so miserably. Moreover, the god of death's strength was above Emotian's. When he landed in the sky above the angel main star, Wang Feng realized that the power of the will of the universe was simply a blow to these life forms. It was like a human stepping on an ant, and the ant didn't even know how it died. Sluggish. Even Holy Keisha, who stood at the peak of this universe, and the villain Carl were the same. Especially Carl. In his eyes, besides sluggishness, there was also confusion. He wasn't shocked. Emotions like shock didn't seem to exist to him. Or rather, everything that happened in front of him had exceeded the category of shock. It reached a level that they couldn't understand. There was only confusion and confusion. Even Carl was like this, let alone the other life forms. The strange stillness wasn't broken by Wang Feng. After several days, these life forms from various galaxies in the universe barely digested some of it and gradually woke up from that state. Qianren Xue was fine. After all, she was already mentally prepared. In addition, she had an in-depth conversation with Wang Feng and was also shocked. What do you plan to do next? In the palace, Qianren Xue looked at those statue-like life forms and asked, "It's about time to leave." Wang Feng pondered and said, I made the snow epiphyllum for you. It contains the technology that can directly reach the divine body, as well as the anti-void engine that can crack void power. It took some effort, but it's enough to make the warriors of your angel civilization become stronger quickly. It's different from the divine system universe, directly giving you the divine power of their universe. This method won't imprint you with the traces of their divine system universe. You'll only be controlled by them. In the end, even your soul and will belong to the gods. But the speed of improvement may be slower. The gods in the divine system universe relied on believers to sacrifice and provide faith as the price to bestow divine power. However, although the divine power bestowed by the gods in the divine system universe was powerful and didn't have any side effects, it contained the will and spirit of the gods. Any life form would be greatly improved after receiving it, but they would also gradually lose their own will. Only the gods were supreme. In the mind, there was only the gods they believed in. It was difficult to have self-thought. The starting point of everything was the gods, even the thoughts. Therefore, the clans under the gods in the divine system universe would never betray them. There was no possibility of betrayal. However, the upper limit of the strength of these clans wouldn't be very high, unless it was the kind of life form that had the power of destiny and could become a spirit paragon of the gods. The upper limit would be much stronger, but it couldn't be compared to the gods. The god of death let Carl and Cold Chill come to the Angel Nebula to participate in the ceremony. Naturally, he wanted to capture all the life forms in this universe with the power of destiny. Put them in his pocket. If one didn't consider the standpoint, the system of the divine system universe could be said to have no obvious shortcomings. It was just that it lacked some humanity. Of course, how could the gods consider humanity? To them, they only needed to bestow power to their believers, and the believers believed in them. They could have their own thoughts. However, the believers didn't need to have any extra thoughts in their minds other than believing in themselves. They belonged to the kind that taught people fish. Wang Feng belonged to the kind that taught people fish. They could become stronger. However, the upper limit of Wang Feng's kind was very high, and the shortcomings were also very obvious. Even if these life forms produced the power of faith, it might not be so stable. Wang Feng also didn't imprint his own mark on them. Perhaps they would surpass Wang Feng and really become universe-level life forms one day. From chess pieces to half a chess player, it was even possible to play chess with Wang Feng. If you do this, when the time comes, if we angels betray you, will you be very angry? Asked Qianren. No. Wang Feng shook his head. My main force is the ancestral realm, not you. Wang Feng pinched his chin and said, I just want to use the power of faith produced by your angels to condense a body of faith for my last clone, and then connect with the ancestral realm to develop it. Qianren curled his lips, not very satisfied with Wang Feng's answer. We angels won't betray you. At this time, an elegant and gentle voice sounded from outside. It was the second Keisha who woke up from her trance. At least, I can guarantee that when I, Keisha, am still here, it won't happen. She stared at Wang Feng seriously, as if making some kind of noble oath. Wang Feng didn't answer. He didn't follow the way of the divine system universe, and he couldn't guarantee it himself. However, Wang Feng did feel the power of faith, and it began to be produced continuously. Most of it was from the angels, because he was the king, the man who was the rightful king of heaven. Wang Feng's silence made Keisha a little silent. After a while, she knelt on one knee, as if making some kind of noble salute. A stream of pure faith power rose from her body in an endless stream. It was the power of faith that represented the spirit and will of the angel king. It wasn't majestic and turbulent, but it was pure and had a long history. It had to be said that the power of faith produced by a life form at Keisha's level was terrifying. It was indeed terrifying. Wang Feng was a little stunned. From the system of the divine system universe, the power of faith at Keisha's level could only be regarded as a standard believer. It didn't match her identity, status, and strength. With the means of the god of death, the power of faith produced by a life form at Keisha's level could easily reach the level of a fanatic or even a clan. After all, it was imprinted with divine power, the mark of a god. The level of the power of faith will be greatly increased. However, Wang Feng was able to sense that the power of faith was increasing. This was a little special. It meant that even if Wang Feng didn't need to do anything, the level of this power of faith would slowly increase. Justice needs strength. Keisha stood up, her gaze distant. The maintenance of order can't be separated from powerful strength. Compared to the god behind Carl, I think you're more suitable for us. I know that if we, the Angel Nebula, really submit to the latter, we may be able to obtain more powerful strength in a short period of time, just like what Carl said. But I think that by then, we angels may not be angels anymore. Carl is willing to sacrifice his will in order to pursue a higher level of civilization, but we angels won't. Then why? Qianren Xue was puzzled. I gave up my faith and strength, but my will didn't change at all. Keisha shook her head. The will of justice and order will not disappear in the universe. Qianren Xue was silent. As the king who overturned the order of the Celestial Palace, the Skyblade King who led the angels to prosperity, the Angel King who stood at the peak of the universe, had a unique way of thinking and thinking about power. Wang Feng smiled. With Keisha's potential, it was certain that she would become a universe-level life form. After all, she was very close to that step, but also very far away. Just like Qianren Xue, if the gods of the divine system universe were to teach her, she could become the right-hand man of the gods, a soul venerable. Wang Feng didn't care. He only needed the power of faith, compared to the power of faith produced by countless lives in the Douluo world. The power of faith produced by this angel king was very terrifying. After all, the level of life was different. If there was a unit conversion, the power of faith produced by millions of people in the Douluo world might not be as strong as the power of faith produced by Keisha. Of course, the two couldn't be compared. Keisha was already a powerhouse who stood at the peak of the universe. The Douluo world had just developed, and after a few more years, countless powerhouses would be born there. It might not be incomparable. At the same time, the source of the power of faith was different. After all, Wang Feng was only a soul renderer who founded the Douluo world. But here, what he did was not comparable to founding a soul renderer. Not to mention other things, just the establishment of the snow epiphyllum was enough to change the ecology of the universe. As Holy Keisha gradually woke up, the other lives also gradually woke up. With the angel as the center, a wave of power of faith that wasn't strong, but was tenacious and had a source began to slowly produce. The production was slow because they felt endless admiration for the power of Wang Feng, the king. King, this wasn't just a title. It also symbolized a noble status. With the addition of this status, the production of the power of faith was very smooth. At the same time, these angels hadn't been affected by the snow epiphyllum yet. When the Qianren Xue used the snow epiphyllum in her body on the Angel Nebula, at that time, the improvement of the level of civilization would allow the angels to produce more power of faith for him, the king. After all, even Keisha, the heavenly blade king, had developed faith, so the other angels naturally wouldn't have any doubts, waiting for them to completely digest the impact of this ceremony. The power of faith would slowly be produced faster until a critical point. What surprised Wang Feng was that there were also many fanatical believers of the power of faith. Angel Yu was the best example. This little angel had already developed faith in him since the beginning in the ancestral realm. Now it was several levels higher, reaching a very exaggerated level. After staying in the Angel Nebula for a few days, Wang Feng felt that the absorption of the power of faith was not bad. At the same time, one after another, Wang Feng also felt that the lives of other civilizations had also begun to produce different amounts of power of faith. They were probably all shocked by that battle. The power that surpassed the universe was enough to make many civilizations fanatical and excited. Regarding this, Wang Feng didn't say much. In fact, just the faith of the angel nebula was enough for him to condense a body of faith. Because before, into this chapter. Chapter 1767. Angel Planet. In just a few days, Wang Feng had absorbed enough power of faith. It's about time to leave. Wang Feng pondered. Seize. His original plan was to leave after the ceremony. However, the god of death's intervention was unexpected for Wang Feng, but it was still under control. I wonder how Yin Xingjue is doing. Wang Feng couldn't help but think. Just in case, Wang Feng didn't leave immediately. He was mainly worried that after he left, the god of death would come here again, which would be a little troublesome. The god of death didn't come, but if the gods of other god system universes found this universe, they wouldn't let it go. For this reason, Wang Feng planned to leave a backup plan. And the backup plan was somewhat related to the system of the god system universes. Wang Feng only needed to build a wormhole passage between this universe and the ancestral realm. In other words, it was connected to the ancestral realm. The ancestral realm, for Wang Feng, was equivalent to the realm of the gods of the god system universes. In this way, if the god of death or other gods invaded this universe again, Wang Feng would be able to sense it immediately. The key to the connection was naturally the power of faith. The location was chosen on the angel planet. Wang Feng originally wanted to consider other locations, but Qianren Xue didn't agree. I know why you brought Keisha back to life. If you want me to leave this place, I can do so, Qianren Xue said. I can even give you the final strand of Tribulation Origin God King's quintessence. I can agree to this condition. After all, the snow epiphyllum you created can make up for that origin for me. But I may not leave this universe. Moreover, you built a passage to the ancestral realm here, so I can go to the ancestral realm at any time. There's no need for me to follow you. In short, Qianren Xue wanted to say that she didn't want to follow him. She didn't want to rely on him. In this regard, Wang Feng naturally had nothing to say. He could only sleep with her. The angel planet. Streaks of snow-white, rainbow-like great Dao lay across the entire planet. The planet of the angels looked just like the angels themselves, full of holy light. This main planet wasn't actually very big, but it was strong enough. Wang Feng tore open a wormhole in the void, establishing a path to the ancestral realm. The passage was condensed by Wang Feng using the power of faith. This meant that as long as the faith continued, this passage would not close. As a special channel, Wang Feng only told Qianren Xue, Keisha, He, and a few other core members of the Angel Nebula. Right, what about Carl and Cold Ice? After a few days of sleeping, Qianren Xue had loosened up a lot, but it was unlikely that she would leave this universe. However, with the passage, she could enter the ancestral realm at any time. After that day, Carl's strength greatly decreased, and he returned to the Nether River civilization. But it's too difficult for him to die. Keisha shook her head slightly. With our strength, we can't destroy him. At least, it's impossible in this universe. After saying that, her gaze fell on Wang Feng. Carl was a ticking time bomb. It was extremely troublesome, but it couldn't be destroyed. Even if the consciousness clone of the god of death was killed by Wang Feng, Carl wouldn't die. This was because the god of death had only given Carl a physical body. After the god of death's consciousness clone was killed, his connection with this universe was cut off. Then the power he gave would also disappear. So Carl just lost his physical body and returned to his original illusory state. However, in the battle that day, Tianxiu Monarch could temporarily attack Carl's illusory state. Of course, Keisha understood that it wasn't Tianxiu Monarch's power. It was His Majesty's power. So, only this His Majesty could deal with Carl. Carl, Wang Feng muttered. There were many ways to deal with Carl. It was just an illusory state. Not to mention that he had the nihility origin. Even if he didn't have it, he could use the snow oxypetalum to directly deduce this universe, and then modify Carl from the definition of a universe's matter. But that would take more time. Wang Feng didn't plan to stay in this universe for too long. He had more important things to do. Why don't you turn him into your believer? Qianren Xue said. Keisha, who was standing at the side, immediately stopped talking. That's a good idea. He smiled. Carl has the big clock. His only interest might be to research civilization and become a higher-level life form. King, you're stronger than the god behind him. With Carl as your believer, it would be hard for him to cause any trouble in this universe. Wang Feng remained silent. What about cold ice? Qian Renxue asked again. Cough. Keisha coughed. I'll take care of her. I hope you can trust me. This king will definitely pull her back to the right path. Wang Feng nodded. Biku Uebiku. Uebic, I'm going to Styx Galaxy. Wang Feng glanced at them and disappeared from Angel Planet. After he left, can Carl become his believer? Keisha frowned. His Majesty's methods are too gentle. The god behind Carl is clearly not like that. Carl was able to trust him before only because that guy's power affected Carl, plus Carl's own will and pursuit. Unless he uses methods similar to that god. Keisha didn't know about the god system's universe. Therefore, the method she mentioned was actually the god's method of developing his clan. If it's like us, Carl isn't our angel. Keisha shook her head. If he wants to betray us, it'll be easy. Although Keisha's words had the intention of elevating the angel, it was also a materialization. Qian Renxue and she didn't object. Even if it was any universe civilization that heard this, they wouldn't object. Let's see what he does, Qian Renxue said in a low voice. Styx civilization. Compared to Angel Planet, the Styx civilization was dark and lonely. The entire interior of the civilization nebula was like a room without lights. It was dead silent. Inside the nebula, in a dark room, in the hollow room, only a little starlight shone down from the roof. Carl stood under the starlight, dead silent. His illusory body was vague. He looked like an image that lacked energy, as if he would disappear at any time. A figure appeared in the room without anyone noticing. You're here. Carl closed his eyes. Since you're here, let's do it. After that day, that god's majestic light figure was destroyed by Wang Feng's axe. And Carl didn't suffer at the first moment, because he was immortal in this universe. As long as Wang Feng didn't deal with him, no life in this universe could kill him at this stage. He returned to the Styx civilization. Losing his physical body was just losing the power given to him by the god of death. To him, there was no loss at all. Wang Feng didn't say anything. Compared to the previous Carl, the one in front of him didn't change much. But there were still subtle differences. Wang Feng slowly opened his palm. A ray of light bloomed from his palm. It was a fragment, emitting a faint light. There seemed to be stars flowing inside the fragment, and it also seemed to hide the universe, moving rhythmically. A terrifying aura lingered around this fragment, like a giant dragon, moving in Wang Feng's palm. The fragment was the size of a fingernail, but it seemed to have the power to destroy the entire universe. Carl was immediately attracted to this fragment. He felt an unprecedented power. It was an unknown and powerful power. It was also a power that could easily destroy him. Chapter 1768. Before you die, can you tell me what this is? Carl asked slowly. The will of the universe. Wang Feng answered calmly. What was the will of the universe? When Wang Feng first came into contact with the will of the universe, he didn't quite understand it. If the origin power represented the end of the world, then the will of the universe represented the end of the multiverse. Countless universes had endless wills of the universe. The fragment of the will of the universe in Wang Feng's hand was the will of the galaxy left behind after killing Mo Tian's clone. Under the will, no life form could survive. It was the same for nothingness life forms. No matter how special the life form in the universe was, it was impossible to resist the will power that transcended the universe. For example, Wang Feng didn't need to use the nothingness origin to kill Carl. He only needed to lift the Pangu axe gently. Carl stared at the will fragment in Wang Feng's hand and didn't speak for a long time. He sighed, closed his eyes, and waited for death. Death wasn't scary. For a life form with a noble pursuit like him, death wasn't something he feared. However, after a while, he didn't feel anything. I'm not here to kill you, Wang Feng said slowly. If I really wanted to kill you, you would have died that day. Carl opened his eyes. However, even if I don't kill you, you won't live long. You won't live long either. Wang Feng continued. As an illusory body, you've touched the threshold of this universe, but that's all. Illusory bodies are immortal in this universe and exist forever. However, that's relative. The void essence you're studying is a special energy. That energy was formed by the godlike existence behind you. After his body died and his soul was annihilated, it followed the changes in various universes. You can combine with this energy and possess the power brought by this energy for a short period of time. However, you've accepted the gift from that God and handed over your faith. This means that your spirit and will disappear and you'll become another you. Carl frowned as if he understood something. I'm here to give you a chance. Wang Feng pointed at the fragment in his hand. This contains the broken will of the universe. It's no small matter. I can give it to you to study. If you can study it, you don't need to believe in that God civilization anymore. You can become a stronger life form. You can even upgrade the civilization level of the entire universe. Carl was shocked. He looked at Wang Feng in disbelief. Perhaps it was because he couldn't understand why the other party would hand such an item over to him. Why don't you give it to the angels in the Angel Nebula? Carl looked at Wang Feng calmly. Wang Feng admired Carl's character. Even when he was up against Keisha and Qianrenshua, he was extremely calm. He knew what he wanted and why he was doing it. Although the god of death had granted him a powerful physical body, left behind a divine imprint, and obtained Carl's power of faith, it had only been a short time, and he hadn't truly turned Carl into his own kin. Before you die, make use of your remaining energy. Wang Feng said, you won't be able to research this power, but your research will attract the owner of this broken power. Or perhaps, in the process of research, I will sense the owner of this broken power. This is what I need. Wang Feng had been thinking about how to find Mo Tian's true body. Universe-level life forms were extremely hard to kill. Their power had already surpassed the norm of the universe and most of the rules of the universe. They could transform into tens of thousands of clones and travel through countless star fields and worlds. They could enter another universe and transform into countless particles to circulate and cultivate with the universe. Universe-level life forms might only be one level, but there were tens of thousands of classifications. It was very troublesome to find their true bodies. Now, that Mo Tian's willpower was broken. He wasn't a threat to Wang Feng. However, he still had 2 pieces of Yin Qingjue's willpower. Wang Feng had to get them back for Yin Qingjue. It was too troublesome and slow for him to research the broken pieces of the galaxy's willpower. Even if he had the primordial origin, Wang Feng could quickly analyze it. However, he had to deal with the War of the Gods now, and he wouldn't have the time to do that. However, Carl had the ability to do so. What if I really succeed? Carl stared at Wang Feng. Aren't you afraid that I'll deal with you again? Wang Feng smiled. Even if you obtain the complete power of this fragment, you won't be my match. Wang Feng shook his head regretfully. What about this universe? If I really succeed in researching such a powerful power? Carl's eyes reflected the trace of the fragment of willpower, but his tone was extremely calm. Wang Feng smiled again. That was just as well. Universe civilizations were at odds with each other. Let's not talk about whether Carl could really research the power of this fragment. Even if he could, he might not be able to withstand it. He was an illusory body, so he couldn't withstand willpower. Even if he could find another way, and not only did he research it, but he also obtained the willpower of this fragment, he wouldn't be able to reach the universe level. It was just a broken piece of the universe's willpower. Even if Carl really became a universe-level life form, he was still too far away from Wang Feng. As for destroying this universe, Wang Feng wasn't afraid at all. After he left, this universe had been too peaceful. A peaceful universe always needed some waves to stir it up. Otherwise, even if Wang Feng really gave them the power of God, they would only be a group of God's descendants. If they wanted to become a true universe-level life form, they wouldn't be able to do so without going through some hardships. If they wanted to surpass this level, Just giving them power wasn't enough. Moreover, Wang Feng didn't directly give them power, but only a possibility. As long as the snow oxypetalum was used properly, it could definitely touch and analyze the universe's willpower. After all, it was created by Wang Feng using his own primordial origin. It was equivalent to a part of the primordial origin. Doing so was equivalent to putting some pressure on the Angel Nebula. Moreover, it was still under Wang Feng's control. Wang Feng left without saying anything else. His smile contained a deep meaning that Carl couldn't understand. He looked up at the starry sky and felt the special energy of the fragment in his palm. His heart was complicated, but it was also surging. Something seemed to be growing in his heart. At this moment, a mysterious voice appeared in Carl's mind. "My descendant, Carl, you're still here." Carl put away the fragment and replied in a pious, religious, and somewhat shocked voice. "My lord, you aren't you. It's just a clone of mine. It's impossible for him to discover my existence. However, what I didn't expect is that you're not dead. As expected of the descendant that I've chosen, I now know the other party's identity. Listen to my orders and hide in this universe. Next, I will secretly bestow you with even more power if you can complete my mission. I will enter my God realm and receive the glory and praise of the true God. I will surpass this universe and become myriad spirit sovereign. Under my command, I will definitely bring you to a higher civilization." Carl clenched the shard tightly and replied in an even more pious voice, "That's right. Yes." At the same time, Wang Feng went back on his promise to the ancestral realm and planned to condense his last body of faith. At this moment, a voice sounded in his mind. "Ding, you have received an invitation to the Myriad World chat group. Do you want to join?" Wang Feng was stunned and smiled. It seemed that Yin Qingjue was very efficient. Chapter 1769. Wang Feng didn't expect Yin Qingjue to have completed it the moment he returned to the ancestral realm. In the chat group, "Let me see what kind of children of destiny Yin Qingjue has found in the various parallel universes," Wang Fengxin said. Then he replied in his heart, "Join." The moment he said that, a virtual screen appeared in his mind. Ding! Ancestor God has joined the chat group. Along with the slight vibration on the screen, Yangon Waiter. There's a newcomer? Welcome, welcome. Fanyi. Ancestor God? Although your nickname is given by yourself, the newcomer must have a strong background. Hey, quickly tell me your name. The world can't betray me. The one called Fanyi. Don't interrupt me. You just said that if I go south, I will definitely be defeated at Red Cliff. What a joke. I have hundreds of thousands of troops. How can I be defeated? Tell me clearly. Newcomer, go to the side. Fanyi, I didn't say that. This is the history of our world. The Battle of Red Cliff has already been recorded in our history books. I really didn't say that. I don't have that ability. Old Brother Chow, don't bother me. Tushi, Ancient Emperor Jade. What are you talking about? Newcomer, which world are you from? Are you a little confused after coming in? Hee. Don't be afraid. I only understood this chat group after a long time. If there's anything different, you can ask me. I don't understand what these guys are saying, Lin Fan said with a frown. Wang Feng narrowed his eyes and looked for a while. Good Lord, Yin Qingjue is amazing. The people she found are all not simple. Looking at the messages that were flooding the chat group, these seemingly unfamiliar but familiar names. Wang Fengxin applauded Yin Qingjue. Yin Qingjue didn't seem to find ordinary people. Other than the few who spoke, there was one who didn't speak. It was called Borrowed 10,000 Years from the Heavens. Wang Feng could roughly guess the other party's identity and background. Yangon Waiter. This must be one of the main characters of a certain era in the legend of the Sword and Fairy. Speaking of the world of the legend of the Sword and Fairy, when he was in the Dark Demon world, Wang Feng had met one of the big shots of the demon world, Chong Lu. They had met once before. Furthermore, back then, Demon Lord Zhong Lu had come to the Dark Devil world for the sake of cultivation. Yin Qingjue must know it, and she must have been to that world before. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the son of destiny. As for this Fanyi, If his nickname was reversed, it would be Yi Fan. He was also an extraordinary figure. When Wang Feng was in the Douluo world, several secret techniques came from Yi Fan's world, the Shrouding Heaven world. Yin Qingju had been to this world before. However, what Wang Feng did not expect was that the Shrouding the Heavens world did not seem to have unfolded yet. In other words, 9 dragons pulling a coffin. This supreme emperor, who would one day break the sacred body of the ancients and become the celestial emperor, was only an ordinary person at the moment. Not simple. Yin Qingju even found this son of destiny. Wang Fengxin said he didn't know if this Yi Fan's world was connected to the Shrouding Heaven world that he was familiar with. But based on Yin Qingju's experience, she had interacted with the great emperor of that world, so it was definitely connected. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. This is not the Do Qi continent. Wait, this name, should he be from the ancient race or the soul race? Judging from his tone, he doesn't sound like a villain from the soul race. He should be from the ancient race. Could it be? Wang Feng roughly knew who it was. The son of destiny. These 4 words were not ordinary. In their world, they were the will of the world, following the development trajectory of the world, and were the favorites favored by the heavens. As for this world cannot betray me. Without thinking, he knew that this should be the emperor of Wei, Chao Mengde. That's not right. The worlds these people are in are all mid-high level worlds. The Doqi continent can also be compared to the Douluo world. Cao Cao is only a historical figure on Earth. Even if it's a parallel universe, the world he is in is only a feudal world in the era of cold weapons. Wang Feng felt that something was not right, even if the people in this world had a natural fear of gods. But the level of power was too low, and it was obviously incompatible with the world these Sons of Destiny were in. How could Yin Qingju at this moment? The world cannot betray me, said. What a joke, fire attack. The soldiers under me are all people with astral bodies and are not afraid of fire and water. The 5 generals are all capable generals who can pick flowers and fly leaves with one hand and cross a river. Not to mention that my cloud refining fire boat is impervious to fire and water. Even if it is carried together, there won't be any traces even if the flames burn for 10 days and 10 nights. A mere fire attack, and you want to destroy my 300,000 strong army in Red Cliff? Fan Yi, you are simply spouting nonsense. Fan Yi said, wait, damn, astral body, picking flowers and flying leaves? Crossing a river? What the hell is this? Could it be that the soldiers of the 3 Kingdoms era were so strong? This is too fantastical. No, Brother Chao, your world is definitely not the 3 kingdoms that I know. Wang Feng was stunned when he saw this. This does not seem to be the 3 kingdoms in history. This is probably the 3 kingdoms. Interesting. Wang Fengxin said, among these Sons of Destiny, only that Chao Mengde is considered to have status and qualifications. The others are basically in a very young state and are not strong yet. But the world they are in is indeed not bad. Isn't this the source of the power of faith? The power of faith gathered in the Angel Nebula, together with the power of faith from the Douluo world, can create a body of faith. The body of faith is bound to the ancestral realm, and the ancestral realm is equivalent to the God domain of this body of faith. Through this body of faith, I can use the power of faith to greatly accelerate the development of the ancestral realm. The God battle in the God system universe. It was not a battle between 2 gods. It was a battle between 2 gods, a battle between God domains. The strength of the God domain, the number of races in it, the quality of the races, the level of strength, and so on would all affect the gods themselves and the result of the God battle. Wang Feng's opponent. He was the fake god of the Dongwang God system. Why did he dare to be so arrogant? Once the God battle started, the many races in his God domain, as well as the worlds he belonged to, would all have the power to fight. Combined with the gods themselves, even if they did not get the will of the universe, the overall combat power would reach an unprecedented level. But this level of battle was very troublesome. Once the battle started, it must be done with all its strength. because as long as it involved the god domain, it must be related to the most fundamental power of the gods themselves. In terms of the individual combat power of the gods, the strength of the gods who left the divine realm would be greatly reduced. Even the heavenly gods were much weaker than the native heavenly gods of the outside universe. But once it was a god battle and the god domain collided, the god system universe played a huge role. With the support of billions of power of faith, the gods combined with the god domain, coupled with countless races and spiritual paragons. So on, compared to the native gods who cultivated from their own universe to the universe level, they were weaker. This was the strength of the god system universe. End of this chapter. Chapter 1770. The false god of Dongwang divine system thought that this was the reason why he could defeat the indigenous gods. He was sure to win. Because Wang Feng didn't have a divine domain, he couldn't get a clan like him and the power of faith to develop his divine domain in a short time. Without a divine domain, Wang Feng was just an individual. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't be compared with a false god of the divine system universe. Wang Feng knew that the Crimson Divine Fox didn't think highly of him because of this. If the divine system universe wanted to develop their divine domain, they had to fight for countless worlds and universes, and they had to pay a certain price. For example, the universe hunt held by the divine system universe was a competition of worlds. Gods from countless factions participated in this competition because they wanted to explore other universes and seize the power of faith. The god of death's luck was pretty good. He was able to find Qian Rinshua's universe so quickly. In fact, Wang Feng knew that even if he didn't appear, after the god of death conquered all the civilizations in that universe with Karl as the source, it was possible that he would encounter other gods in the process of his conquest. A more terrible war would break out. However, Wang Feng happened to be related to this universe and returned with Qian Rinshue to stop the god of death. Therefore, after knowing the advantages and disadvantages of both sides, Wang Feng was not stupid enough to despise the system of the divine system universe. On the contrary, he wanted to take advantage of this. However, in the eyes of the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor or the false god, it was impossible for him to do so, because time didn't allow it. The gods cultivated by the divine system universe were born as gods and could open up their divine domains when they were a few years old. Occasionally, they would spend hundreds or thousands of years looking for worlds to seize the power of faith, condense the body of faith, and develop clans in their divine domains. The time was extremely long. However, Wang Feng looked at the members of the chat group. This was the first batch of Yin Qingjue in a short time. He had been in the Angel Nebula for only a few days, and he could pull in so many children of destiny. Naturally, the worlds they lived in had not been developed by the God Systems universe. There would be more and more in the future. I don't need to turn these children of destiny into my clan. I only need them to have faith in me, just like Keisha. That way, the world therein will definitely provide me with an endless supply of faith in the future. To develop a clan, one only needed to bestow divine power and then leave a divine imprint to change the other party's will and faith at the soul level. The error rate of this mode was 0. There were no mistakes or betrayals. Wang Feng didn't think he needed this. The reason was very simple. He was not one of the gods in the God System universe. He didn't rely on the power of faith. He relied on the will of the universe, the power of Pangu's axe, and the power of the Chaos Green Lotus. It was the will of the former Great Desolate World. The system of using faith power to nurture the ancestral realm was just the essence that Wang Feng had absorbed from the system of the God System universe. That was enough for him. As for time, Wang Feng was not worried at all. Wang Feng could not enter the long river of time in the God Systems universe. He would die before even touching it, let alone entering it. However, Wang Feng could enter the river of time in the worlds of these children of destiny. By manipulating the flow of the river of time, the development process would be very fast. 100 days here might be 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years there. Wang Feng's time soul of time, origin, Will had the ability to enter the long river of time. After 100 days, Wang Feng believed that the ancestral realm would become an extremely powerful and prosperous deity domain. It would not fall behind the deity domain of those false gods. By then, combining with his own strength, and now, according to the normal progression of the story, I am considered a big boss in the later stages of the story. Joining the chat group, Wang Feng laughed. His current strength, it was indeed too high in the god system universe. After all, that primal cosmos god was indeed a little exaggerated. But in the normal cosmos, he was basically unparalleled. For example, Yi Fan. Not to mention the current Yi Fan. Even if Yi Fan became a celestial emperor, it was impossible for him to defeat him. Furthermore, Wang Feng could easily crush him as a big boss in the later stages of the story. Wang Feng muttered for a moment as he looked at the members of the chat group. Wang Feng did not hesitate to type a few lines. I have become a god, named Ancestor God. Eternal, undying, great Tao, freedom, they are all me. I pity the world. If you have any requests, you can call me by my true name. Chant my taboo. This is the Great Tao God Summoning Chapter. If you need it, chant this and I will appear. Saying that, Wang Feng used the void to draw and condense the faith energy. Tapping the void with his fingertips, he drew many golden articles. The articles gathered Wang Feng's spirit and willpower. The words were like the immemorial stars, shining brilliantly before condensing into several articles. Great Tao God Summoning Chapter. Wang Feng used his spirit as the pen, the faith energy as the ink, and the primordial origin source as the foundation to create this Great Tao God Summoning Scripture. It would allow these children of destiny to hear the scripture and be able to sense his presence in the world they were in. At the same time, it allowed him to sense the specific location of the other party's world. Saying that, Wang Feng disappeared. These fellows were all children of destiny. They were not simple. Wang Feng did not bestow them with deity imprints. If he wanted them to believe in him in a short period of time, he could only find another way. As a god, he had to maintain the mystery and dignity of a god. There was no need to say too much. Your method is not bad. Yan Qingjue's voice sounded in Wang Feng's mind. Maybe you will be able to develop the ancestral realm soon. The divine realm may not be so unattainable for you. We'll see. Wang Feng said, I have to go back to the ancestral realm now to condense the body of faith. The 9 paths of reincarnation must be established first. What about them? The seeds have been left. What if they don't believe you? You sound like a swindler. Yan Qingjue smiled. I think you should use the system mode I used back then. The system mode is too slow. Wang Feng was speechless. And I have to let them adapt to it one by one. There is also the danger of being exposed at any time. It's better to reveal my identity and tell them that I am a god. That makes sense. Yan Qingjue nodded. If you do this, you can quickly collect the faith energy. After all, these children of destiny are the representatives of the world's will. How are you doing in the Angel Nebula? Wang Feng told her what had happened. It's not very optimistic. Yan Qingjue frowned. The universe hunt at the divine system's universe might have invaded the world where these children of destiny are. The methods there are not as gentle as yours. The speed of erosion is faster. The so-called universe hunt. Wang Feng sneered. It's another kind of war at the divine system's universe. Even if it's an invasion, it's not just one god, but many gods. If they really invade a world, they will definitely fight. To me, it's a good thing. Yan Qingjue thought about it and understood. At the same time, following Wang Feng's words, the entire chat group instantly exploded into a frenzy. End of chapter. Chapter 1771. Eternal Peace. Ancestor God? Big brothers, do you know him? He sounds very powerful. A newcomer? A newcomer? The newcomer seems to have left. Is there really a god in this world? A god that can satisfy all needs? Are you kidding me? Immortal Sword World. In a small pawn shop, a man with a ruffian look had a strange look on his face. Then he laughed. This group is really interesting. Even a god is here. Trying to be mysterious, he yawned a few times. He didn't believe it at all. The world cannot betray me. I believe in God. However, this newcomer is too arrogant. Even if there's a God, how can he be pulled into this chat group? With the greatness of God, I think that only the group leader who can gather all of us from different places in this chat group can possibly be God, right? Fanny, Boss Chow, what you said makes sense. I feel that this newcomer is a little Chinibu, who isn't the God in their dreams who can fulfill all wishes. To Shi Ancient Emperor Jade, that newcomer, God seems to have uploaded something. Oh, Great Tao God Summoning Chapter. It's free to download. Do you guys want to take a copy? Eternal Peace. Hee hee, if you believe it, take a copy and take a look. To Shi Ancient Emperor Jade. Then forget it. Although I also feel that God exists, the so-called God is just an existence that is stronger. How can he satisfy our needs? He won't even know who we are. He won't know what kind of people we are. The few of them discussed happily. However, they didn't download the scripture that Wang Feng uploaded. When the chatterboxes in the chat group gradually went to rest, there were no more messages in the chat group. At this moment, the scripture was downloaded once ancestral realm. Master, you are finally back. The ancestral realm was still empty. When Wang Feng returned, the ancestral realm didn't seem to have changed. The 9 paths of reincarnation didn't have power. No sentient life forms were born. The only one that was born was Yin Mengyao, who controlled the heavenly Tao. She was the spirit body of the eternal God Slayer. I'm back. Wang Feng nodded slightly. He looked at the land and his eyes flashed. Make some preparations. I plan to condense a body of faith. In the future, I will be one with the ancestral realm. Wang Feng said, after taking a deep breath. Yin Mengyao was surprised and immediately nodded. Do you need my help? What can you do to help? Wang Feng waved his hand and cast a sidelong glance at him. Just watch from the side. Yeah. Yin Mengyao smiled seductively and gently landed beside Wang Feng. Master, don't be like this. Anyhow, I have dual cultivated with the soul. You are condensing the body of faith. As the heavenly Tao of the ancestral realm, I naturally need to condense it with you to better connect with the ancestral realm. I think you're just lusting after my body, right? Wang Feng gently knocked on Yin Mingyao's head. Let's go. The body of faith is very important. You just need to watch from the side. Yin Mingyao helplessly pouted and didn't say anything. Wang Feng gazed at the ancestral realm. Strands of golden light began to surge out of his body and encircle him. In just a moment, Wang Feng's body was surrounded by a golden and silver ocean. Countless faith power turned into starlight and covered Wang Feng's primordial wheel soul. Immediately after, the gold and silver sea of faith around Wang Feng extended a beam of light and directly hit Yin Mingyao at the side. It's so hot. Yin Mingyao cried out in surprise, then let out a cry of pain. This was faith power, not other energy. It was not something that other life forms could bear. But after this beam of light washed over Yin Mingyao, it directly fell into the ground and sky of the ancestral realm. It seemed to have merged with it. In an instant, a golden light curtain, with Wang Feng as the center, rippled in all directions. In the next moment, the ancestral realm, which originally had no aura of life, seemed to light up at this moment. It seemed to have changed from a black and white picture to a colorful picture. The spirit energy between heaven and earth was rapidly changing. Somewhere, a faint light seemed to be responding to this beam of light, emitting a faint light. That was the aura of life. Wang Fengxian was slightly moved. It was the snow epiphyllum that he and the Qianren Xue created together. It should still be growing now, but now it had intelligence. I didn't expect that the faith power I condensed and connected to the ancestral realm could bring about such an obvious change. Wang Feng breathed softly. In terms of the normal growth rate, although the snow epiphyllum was a connate life form, it would take at least tens of thousands of years for it to develop intelligence. Because the snow epiphyllum was not given any life form by Wang Feng in the 9 paths of reincarnation. It was a special connate life form that was created alone. Its growth was extremely slow. After the faith body is formed, it will be connected to the ancestral realm. A strand of faith power can bring about such an obvious change. The ancestral realm will definitely develop very quickly in the future. Pure faith power could not be used in the ancestral realm. It needed Wang Feng's faith body to slightly change the faith power before it could be injected into the ancestral realm. It was equivalent to Wang Feng's faith body being a transfer station. It would process the faith power obtained and then supply it to the ancestral realm. The gods in the divine system universe use the faith body as the divine body to guard the divine realm. Not only could they use the faith power to change their divine realm, but they could also use the faith body to absorb the power of the divine realm. At the same time, they also had many effects. However, what surprised Wang Feng was that most of the faith power just now was used to build this faith body. Only a strand was left, passing through his faith body and falling into the ancestral realm. But it could make the snow epiphyllum give birth to intelligence. Logically speaking, such a strand of faith power was not enough to make the snow epiphyllum give birth to intelligence. It was even much worse. Tens of thousands of years was not something that could be changed by a strand of faith power. Wait, could it be? Wang Feng seemed to have thought of something. He slightly condensed his palm, and a green lotus quietly bloomed. Could it be the effect of the chaos green lotus? Wang Fengxin had another guess. That strand of faith power had obviously been specially strengthened. Otherwise, it would not have such a powerful effect. Wang Feng could not strengthen it himself. Then, only the chaos green lotus true soul in his body or the Pangu axe could have such an effect. Wang Feng guessed that the chaos green lotus should have this ability. Pangu axe and the chaos green lotus. These two true souls are the will treasures left behind by the great desolate world. The Pangu axe true soul contains the will to open the sky. The chaos green lotus true soul must also have a powerful ability. I have never used the faith power to experiment before. Unfortunately, all the faith power I used just now was used to condense the faith body. Wang Feng thought to himself, there is no more faith power for the time being. According to the Angel Nebula, the faith power was produced from time to time, but there was also a cycle of production. Wang Feng had just returned from the Angel Nebula. Although the faith power there was still condensing, it was condensing into a strand. It might take a few days. Wait a moment. There should be a result from the chat group soon. Wang Feng thought. End of chapter. Chapter 1772. In the Great Qin Realm. The cold wind rustled the tent outside the palace. There were 2 rows of people standing outside the tent. One row was made up of officials wearing linen clothes and white headscarves. The other row was made up of generals. They wore cold armor and did not wear helmets. They only had white headscarves tied around their heads. Their gazes were all focused on the man who was currently lying on the dragon throne within the tent. The man's face was pale, and his eyes were lifeless. He looked sickly as if he would die at any moment. However, at this moment, his body still exuded a majestic aura. It was this remnant aura that made the officials and generals outside the tent keep quiet out of fear. After I die, all of you should know what you have to do, right? The man said indifferently. Demons are not a match for humans, but the bloodline of our race cannot be broken. It's only hateful. Cough, cough. At this point, the man suddenly coughed a few times. He sighed softly. No one knew what he was saying. He looked into the distance outside the palace. It was a demonic red cloud. Your Majesty, I'm willing to lead the last soldiers of Great Qin to defend the last pass of the Great Wall. A general stood up. His eyes were red as he said in a deep voice, we will never retreat. To think that only you, Wang Jian, can still say this. Ha ha ha. The man laughed out loud. His laughter was very weak. He waved his hand. It seemed like he agreed, but also rejected. Can you defend it? The man asked indifferently. The general did not say anything. You can't. Ingzheng shook his head. No one in the world can defend it. Wang Jian, the bloodline of Great Qin cannot be broken. Your Majesty, Zheng waved his hand and interrupted the general. He closed his eyes and said in a low voice, "If the heavens give me a little more time, give me 10,000 years. There is still hope. Is it possible?" A smile appeared on Zheng's face, as if he was mocking himself for having such an absurd thought. Suddenly, Zheng seemed to have thought of something. In his mind, he who was still a little confused, thought of something. "Forget it. I'm already a dying man. Why should I care about that? Even the other people in that group are acting strangely. That ancestor god." Thinking of this, Zheng held his breath. In his mind, he called out the great Tao God summoning chapter that the ancestral god had uploaded in the chat group. He downloaded it from the chat group, and it was the only one who downloaded it. He didn't have much hope. It was purely out of curiosity. The great Tao God summoning chapter. This seems to be a strange scripture. In his mind, he used his consciousness to flip through the scripture. Countless symbols rushed into his mind in an instant. Zheng could not understand any of those symbols. But what surprised Zheng was that at the moment when these scriptures fused into his mind, he was able to understand their meaning. How magical! It seems that as long as I recite this scripture, the ancestor god will be able to sense it. Moreover, he must be sincere. Zheng remained silent for a moment. If it were any other time, Zheng would not even take a look at asking an emperor to recite a scripture with sincerity. But now, forget it. I'll give it a try. Zheng closed his eyes and murmured under his breath. His voice was weak, but his face was full of devotion. That kind of piety was the piety of grasping at the last straw. It was a kind of piety of hope. At this moment, the civil officials and military generals outside the tent were silent. Suddenly, an imperial physician who served Zheng in the tent had his face changed dramatically and said, "What? His Majesty has passed away." In an instant, the faces of the people outside changed greatly. Their faces were ashen. Zheng's aura seemed to have disappeared. There was no longer any breath. At this moment, he was reciting the scripture with sincerity at the same time. Ancestral realm. A strand of golden faith power slowly flowed out from Wang Feng's body of faith. This strand of faith power was very small, but contained a strong emperor's aura. The golden faith power represented that this was the Son of Heaven. However, there was a bit of gray in it, which meant that the owner of this strand of faith power was about to die so fast. Wang Feng was stunned. He did not expect that someone in the chat group would produce faith power for him so quickly. He seems to be about to die. With such a strong emperor's aura, the owner of this faith power is also an emperor. Wang Feng thought for a moment. Not an ordinary emperor. Could it be that borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years, who has been silent in the group? Interesting. Wang Feng stared at this strand of faith power. It was very small, but the quality was very high. The faith power produced by the Son of Heaven was naturally extraordinary, not to mention that this Son of Heaven was an emperor, a great emperor. This strand of faith power was very strong. Let's try injecting it into the chaotic green lotus first. Wang Feng took a deep breath. He vaguely felt that the complete chaotic green lotus true soul seemed to have a stronger effect. Wang Feng Xian infused this fine, but incomparably special strand of faith power into the chaos green lotus. In an instant, the chaotic green lotus slightly emitted a burst of intense light. Then, this strand of faith power quickly began to strengthen, from a strand of hair to the size of a thumb in an instant. F*CK. Wang Feng was dumbfounded. The chaotic green lotus can strengthen the faith power? No, this is not strengthening. This is a direct increase. This is a big loss. Wang Feng was stunned for a long time. A strand of hair directly became the size of a pinky finger. This degree of increase was not small. If he had known, he would have directly used the chaotic green lotus to increase the faith power collected from the Angel Nebula. Wouldn't that be a big gain? Not to mention one body of faith, 10 bodies of faith could be condensed. Even if Wang Feng only needed one, the rest of the faith power could be used for the development of the ancestral realm. The corner of Wang Feng's mouth twitched. No wonder just now I was wondering how a little bit of faith power could make the snow oxypetalum gain intelligence and even affect the surrounding energy concentration. Even Yin Mengyao was affected, the chaotic green lotus. Although he felt that he had suffered a loss, it was not too late to find out now. With the chaotic green lotus, it means that even the smallest world's faith power will be increased many times in my place. The speed of development of the ancestral realm will be very terrifying. A smile appeared on Wang Feng's face. In the original plan, in 100 days he could develop the ancestral realm to a certain extent, even if it was against the divine realm of the fake god of the Dongwang divine system. The difference would not be too big. Now that he found that the chaotic green lotus true soul had this ability, by then it would be a problem of too big a difference. It would be a problem of directly crushing. Now, let's see what this emperor's situation is. The moment when Ing Zheng devoutly finished reciting the scripture word by word. In an instant, the whole palace suddenly burst out a light shadow like the sun. It rushed out of the palace from Ing Zheng's body and rose to the entire sky and the entire Xianyang city. It was originally the scene of the night, but at this moment, it was even more dazzling than the day. Even the blood light in the distance was enveloped by this intense light. For a moment, countless pairs of eyes were dull. All the civil officials and generals in the palace were also stunned. What was going on? It was at this moment that a majestic voice came from the light shadow in the sky. I have felt your piety. The voice was as majestic as the sound of heaven, as if it spread throughout the whole world. It was deafening. Chapter 1773. The light figure was shining like the sun, exuding a majestic and eternal aura. It also exuded a majestic aura that transcended life itself. At this moment, no matter if it was in the palace or outside Xianyang city, only Ing Zheng, who was lying on the bed, stared at the light figure with his pupils constricted violently. This was because he was the only one who knew what was going on. What is that? What a terrifying aura. I feel like I'm going to die at any moment. Even the demons outside the Great Wall don't have such a terrifying aura. It's even hotter than the sun in the sky. It's shining so brightly. Is this a god? The officials' eyes were filled with horror, or even shock. They couldn't stop trembling. It's obviously such a terrifying aura, but I don't feel any killing intent. Wang Jian covered his eyes with his hands. Through the gaps between his fingers, he barely dared to raise his head and look at the huge light figure in the sky. How did it come about? At this moment, the light figure, which was as large as the sun, uttered a divine language that sounded like a primordial chant. In the next moment, a divine light descended from the sky and landed on Ing Zheng, who was lying on the bed. Ing Zheng's eyes flickered slightly. A majestic life force began to burst out from his body. He knew that the ancestor god had sensed his chanting. When the divine light landed, Ing Zheng felt his body brimming with energy. It was as if he had returned to his younger days. His body, which had been severely injured by the demons, had recovered from the demonic arts he had cast. In the blink of an eye, his body was filled with energy. His face had returned to his younger days, and his body was brimming with energy. He was even confident that he could defeat the strongest warrior of the Great Qin Empire. Ing Zheng looked at the light figure with excitement in his eyes. He didn't expect the ancestor god to be so powerful. Ing Zheng patted the bed lightly with both hands. Then, he stood up like a roly-poly toy. This scene stunned many of the officials who were already shocked. Didn't His Majesty pass away? How'd he come back to life? Your Majesty, you... The imperial physician immediately turned around and looked at Ing Zheng with a blank face. There's no need to be surprised. Ing Zheng waved his hand. I'm not dead. Hearing that, Wang Jian immediately walked up and looked at His Majesty. As a general of the empire, he could tell with a single glance that not only was His Majesty still alive, but he was brimming with vitality. His limbs radiated with great power as he moved. Not to mention a dying man. Even the elite soldiers of the empire could not compare to His Majesty at this time. But just now, We know that you are confused." Ing Zhang's face shone with a faint divine light. He looked up at the palace, at the huge shadow in the clouds, and said faintly, "I'll explain it to you later." After he finished speaking, he closed his eyes and sensed the imposing figure of light. It seemed to want to communicate with the ancestor god. "I already know the world you are in, so there's no need to explain. I already know what you need." It was at this moment that the light figure emitted a mysterious, ancient sound. Ing Zheng was slightly taken aback. "I haven't even said anything yet." The ancestor god knew? Ing Zheng was puzzled. The huge figure of light moved. With this move, it was as if heaven and earth were hanging upside down, and the whole world seemed to be shaking. Many civil officials and generals began to panic. "Don't panic, all of you kneel." Ing Zheng let out a loud cry. His sonorous voice and the majesty of an emperor immediately made all the officials quiet down. Then they all kneeled down silently. "Your Majesty, what is this?" Wang Jian did not kneel down, but walked to Ing Zheng's side and asked in a low voice. Ing Zheng did not speak, but also half knelt down. There was a burning passion in his eyes that Wang Jian had never seen before. Wang Jian's heart shook, and he immediately knelt down, no longer suspicious. It was at this moment. The light figure stretched out a huge palm, as if it was reaching out from the starry sky, as if it had caught something. Then the hand swung. A source of light, not dazzling, but emitting a faint silver light, appeared in the sky. It was like the moon at night, but bigger than the moon and not inferior to the sun. It was even bigger. In the eyes of Ing Zheng and the others, they could only see the silver light, which was very similar to the sun in the sky. They did not know what it was. But in the next moment, the huge palm grabbed the light that was bigger than the sun and seemed to be squeezing it. In an instant, the whole sky seemed to be shaking. It let out an ancient muffled sound, which was endless. It was like the call of the ancient times, low and majestic. The star that was bigger than the sun immediately exploded. It turned into countless light spots, hanging above the sky, forming a long silver river. Countless fragments were like stars, wandering in it, decorating the starry sky at this time, and dispelling the blood light in the distance. Waves of mysterious energy fell from the long silver river. It sprinkled over the whole city and fell on countless humans. This is the power of the stars. I hope you can use this power to strengthen yourselves. The mysterious ancient voice, at this moment, appeared in the ears of all humans. It was hazy, like an ancient call. Everyone's spirits were lifted. In the next moment, the light figure gradually disappeared, and between heaven and earth, there was only a dazzling long silver river in the sky, flickering, symbolizing the mythical scene that had once happened. "The power of the stars," Ing Zheng murmured. Before he could sense it, Ing Zheng suddenly heard Wang Jian, who was beside him, roaring. He subconsciously looked over and saw the light spots falling from the long silver river, covering Wang Jian's body. Waves of powerful aura rose from the old general, who had fought for the empire for decades. His whole body seemed to be reborn, shedding skin, and every muscle seemed to be reorganizing or was changing because of the new power. Almost in the blink of an eye, Ing Zheng could feel that this loyal old general had broken through the original shackles. He had broken through the shackles of man and become a Sciention expert of this world. His aura was even getting stronger. Ing Zheng took a deep breath and looked at the silver river. The shock in his eyes turned into fanaticism. He looked at the other officials and generals, then walked out of the palace, and with a few light steps, he jumped onto the city wall. He saw countless warriors who were bathing in the energy that fell from the long silver river, and their aura was getting stronger. In fact, they were not much weaker than the invincible demons outside the Great Wall. They have all broken through the original realm and walked on a brand new path, a path that I have never seen before. Ing Zheng looked at the long silver river in the sky. Ancestor God, a few days later, Ancestor God, you have not only revived me, but also bestowed me with the long silver river in the sky. That is the power of the stars. I believe all of you have felt it. Ying Zheng, who was wearing a dragon robe, looked down at the hundreds of officials and generals below him. Unlike before, when the Great Wall had been breached, the north had been invaded by the demons, and the invincible soldiers of the great Qin Empire had been utterly defeated. His face was pale, his eyes were lifeless, and his face was as pale as ash. Now, all of them were in high spirits, and their eyes were glowing. In a chapter. Chapter 1774. This was especially true for the generals. Each of them exuded a powerful aura, and their bodies were faintly shrouded in stellar energy. Ying Zheng knew that they had been making breakthroughs in the past few days. They were advancing toward an unknown realm of cultivation that no human had ever stepped into before. It was not just humans who had changed in the past few days. Under the power of the silver river in the sky, many plants, flowers, and even livestock had undergone great changes. However, as humans, they had undergone the greatest changes. Hearing Ying Zheng's words, the civil and military officials did not have any doubts, because what they saw that day was too shocking. That miracle and the divine voice in everyone's ears were definitely not illusions. From now on, I will pass down the great Tao God summoning chapter, establish a state religion, and worship the ancestor god. This matter must be spread to all the people in the country immediately. Ying Zheng waved his hand. The ancestor god had bestowed such a great favor. Ying Zheng felt that his actions were not enough to repay the ancestor god. But on second thought, with the ancestor god's greatness, the ancestor god would not be interested in anything that a weak existence like him could repay. As long as he piously worshipped the ancestor god, that would be the greatest repayment. Also, we now have the power to fight against the demons. You all should start researching this power immediately. Create a new cultivation method. Ying Zheng continued, Your Majesty, the power bestowed by the ancestor god is too magical. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to study it thoroughly in a short period of time. Wang Jian stood out and said, However, it should not be a problem for us to fight against the demons now. Ying Zheng thought about it. That was indeed the case. After all, it was a power bestowed by the ancestor god. How could it be so easy to study it? If you were to ask the ancestor god himself, he would be too stupid. The ancestor god had already bestowed the power. If he still wanted the ancestor god to tell him what to do, Ying Zheng felt that as the emperor, he would not be so stupid as to ask others to cook for him. All right, that chat group. Ying Zheng's heart skipped a beat. After discussing with the civil and military officials for a while, he immediately returned to his palace and entered the chat group. Borrow another 10,000 years from the heavens. Everyone, I have a question here. Can you help me think about it? Fan Yi, 10,000 years. You've been lurking for so long. You finally came out. I still don't know who you are. Question mark. JPG borrow another 10,000 years from the heavens. Who I am is not important. Yangon is a waiter. What is the question? Let's hear it. Does it have anything to do with money? No one under the heavens can't betray me. About what? Tu Shi Ancient Emperor's Jade. If I can help, I will definitely try my best. After all, we are in the same group. They were all friends. Ying Zheng pondered for a brief moment, then another thought struck his mind. The chat group had a variety of functions, and it even had a recording function. Memory records could record everything that happened in the world he was in. Ying Zheng recorded everything that happened that day from his own point of view, and then sent it to the group as a video. Fan Yi, video? My goodness, 10,000 years. Don't you dare publicly post some vulgar videos in our group. This is immoral. Ahem, you can send it to me privately. At this moment, Yi Fan, who was on Earth in a parallel universe, opened the video recorded from Ying Zheng's perspective with a smile on his face. Borrow from the heavens for another 10,000 years. This guy is most likely some emperor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have such a name. It's obvious that he hasn't lived before. I wonder what this video is about. Yi Fan mumbled as he focused on the video that had just started playing. Then he was stunned. His pupils constricted, his mouth opened wide, and his breathing quickened. Do Chi continent. at the back mountain of a certain clan. A young girl blinked her eyes and opened the video that she extracted from her mind. A group member sent a video right away. This video is really strange. It's like a memory pearl. Let me see what's the content. The young girl blinked her eyes. There was only curiosity in her eyes. However, when she took a look at the video, the young girl was stunned. Not long after, she was stupefied. She was stunned on the spot, as if she had been petrified. It was as if she had seen something inconceivable. Three Kingdoms World. Xuchang, Chao residence. Cao Cao punched the rock in front of him into two. The explosive airflow was like a hurricane that blew across the courtyard. Cao Cao remained unmoved. My lord's strength has improved again. Standing at the side, a tall and sturdy man with a face full of stubble clapped his hands and sighed. Scram! Cao Cao put on the clothes that the maid beside him brought over and cast a sidelong glance at the huge man. You think I don't know? You, Su Chu, are probably thinking that with my strength, I wouldn't even be a match for a centurion on the battlefield. What's there to train? I don't dare, I don't dare. The huge man hurriedly waved his hand. All right, you can leave. I still have something to do. Cao Cao waved his hand. He knew that, with his strength, he was as weak as a grass beside a huge tree in front of his subordinate. He wasn't worth mentioning at all. The huge man leaped lightly and disappeared from the courtyard like an arrow leaving the bow. Let me see what's wrong with this video that was sent by 10,000 years. Cao Cao summoned the chat group in his mind. After pondering for a moment, he retrieved the video and opened it. After watching for a few seconds, he took a deep breath. In the chat group, silence. Silence. It was still silence. Ying Zheng waited patiently. After a long time, finally, there was a notification sound. Fanyi, F*CK. Yangon Pawn, F*CK +1. 2. She Ancient Emperor's Jade. F*CK, F*CK, F*CK +1. Can't betray me. F*CK +1. English and borrow 10,000 years from the heavens. Dad, have you guys finished watching it? Fanyi, I've finished watching it. Let me take a break first. It's too scary, Yangon Pawn. Oh my god, what the hell is that thing? Although I don't know what that light figure did, it felt so scary. 2. She Ancient Emperor's Jade. That light figure must be a peerless expert. He used his hand to grab that silver light source. It's too scary. Even through the screen, I could feel the terrifying power of that light source. He actually destroyed it directly, and it didn't affect your world. I don't know how he did it, but he actually changed the light source into that silver river and placed it in your world. This is simply unimaginable. Can't betray me. That's right. The light source that the light figure grabbed is extremely terrifying. It's definitely a power that can destroy a world. I feel that even our world wouldn't be able to withstand the impact of that explosion. In our world, even the previous first Saint General, Lu Bu, wouldn't be able to survive the explosion. I didn't expect that light figure to destroy the light source without affecting your world. This is truly unbelievable. Fanyi, you guys are so uncultured. Judging from the light source and its distance and size, that thing was at least a star? A light figure can destroy a star. This is too exaggerated. It's like a legend. Yangon Pawn. Brother Fan, what is a star? Fanyi. A star is the sun in your memory, Yangon Pawn. Tushi Ancient Emperor's Jade asked. Alright, 10,000 years, what is that light figure? Curious. JPG. Yingjing thought for a moment and still answered. It's the ancestor god. Chapter 1775. Ancestral Realm. What a fruitful harvest! Wang Feng exclaimed as he felt the endless power of faith. Among all the power of faith produced by Ying Zheng was the strongest. After all, he was the one who could feel the power of the ancestral god most directly. Although this power of faith is far from comparable to the power produced by the Angel Nebula, I have the Chaotic Green Lotus special enhancement ability now. Wang Feng infused the power of faith he obtained into the Chaotic Green Lotus. The power of faith produced by Ying Zheng was the most special. He was the emperor who carried the world's will and the destiny of that world, the emperor who unified the 9 prefectures. The power of faith he produced was not only powerful, but also very special. However, I did not directly bestow divine power. These believers do not have divine power imprints on them, Wang Feng muttered. I did not directly bestow divine power, even to Ying Zheng. The power of faith is not pure enough, but with the enhancement of the chaotic green lotus, the effect is not bad. Moreover, the power of faith was increasing continuously, which meant that Ying Zheng had already passed the scripture of the great Tao, summoning scripture to others. With this power of faith, I can slowly build the ancestral realm's 9 paths of reincarnation. The chaotic green lotus in Wang Feng's palm was nurturing a layer of faint green light like a thin mist. Therefore, the power of faith that entered the chaos green lotus first rolled around the lotus platform, and then rapidly increased in the process. Then, it floated out and entered Wang Feng's body. The special power of faith of Qin Shi Huang was golden in color, bright and clear, and looked extremely dazzling. After the enhancement, this power of faith can not only replenish divine power, but also cultivate the universe's will and expand the ancestral realm's boundary. It's very useful. Wang Feng's body of faith was connected to the ancestral realm, so he could use the power of faith to cultivate. This body of faith was very useful. Otherwise, Wang Feng would not have spent so much power of faith to condense it. Let's go to the underworld that I created earlier. Wang Feng's figure flashed, and he came to a slightly gloomy realm. This was a special little realm that Wang Feng had created in the ancestral realm with the Pangu axe. He also placed all the void beings in the black tide that he had absorbed in the dark demon realm here, waiting for reincarnation. However, Wang Feng was not strong enough at that time, so he could not deal with them and complete the 9 paths of reincarnation. In this gloomy world, even the sky was gray. The ground was grayish-black, and there were jagged rocks everywhere. It was pitch black. There was only an endless ocean in the distance. That was the Sea of Bitterness. It was one of the reincarnation systems of the ancestral realm. On the other side of the Sea of Bitterness, there was a purplish-black thundercloud. Countless bolts of lightning struck down. Reincarnation, thunder, tribulation. It was also one of the reincarnation systems in the ancestral realm. After these 2 systems came the core order of the 9 paths of reincarnation. However, there was none at the moment. I originally planned to use the void origin to purify those void life forms into pure energy and enter the ancestral realm's reincarnation system to become the ancestral realm's first batch of life forms. Wang Feng gently waved his hand, and boundless power of faith turned into a river, gathering behind the Sea of Bitterness. Now, with the power of faith, everything in the ancestral realm can be connected to this body of faith. That way, even the godly system universe won't be able to see any problems. The God realm was very special. It was not a casual world. Universal level life forms stood at the top of the unit universe. Not to mention ruling a large world. Even a large world like the Dark Demon realm was very easy. The God realm in the godly system universe was more powerful than any large world. The gods in the godly system universe could open their own God realm when they were young. As long as the God realm was not destroyed, the gods would be very difficult to kill. Moreover, the location of the God realm was very special. Usually, as long as they did not give out the coordinates, even the stronger gods would not be able to sense it. At the same time, the God realm could provide powerful backup support for the gods. The gods could dominate everything in the God realm, use the power of faith to create all kinds of life forms, and even directly evolve the universe. As the God realm that lived with the gods for half of their lives, its position was very special and important. The gods in the non-godly system universe were the native gods. It was very difficult for them to have a God realm. This was because the native gods were different universe-level life forms. Their cultivation method was different from the godly system universe. For example, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor did not have her own God realm. However, she was still very powerful. She also opened up her own world for the Crimson Divine Fox clan to live in. However, the world she opened up was not a god realm. However, she could not use the power of faith to cultivate her own world. Even if the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor could collect the power of faith from other worlds, she could not use it on her own world. This was because the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's true body did not have the ability to use the power of faith to transform. This was the special part of the godly system universe. And Wang Feng's body of faith had this ability. This clone of his was equivalent to being integrated into the godly system universe, but it was also independent. It was very special. Therefore, he could now use the power of faith to cultivate the ancestor realm, God realm, ghost realm, monster realm, Azura realm, human realm, spirit realm, yin-yang realm, heavenly realm. 9 paths of reincarnation. Which path should I open up first? Wang Feng pondered for a moment. He looked at the special power of faith of Yingzheng. This strand represented the power of faith of the emperor. It contained powerful energy and will. Human realm. The 9 paths were the 9 races. It was also the classification of life forms in the ancestor realm. Rise! Wang Feng waved his hand, and countless power of faith gathered behind the sea of bitterness to form a huge golden door. Mysterious and profound patterns of law and lines of order crawled all over the huge door. Ancient and mysterious symbols were engraved on the huge door. Human realm reincarnation. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation, lightning tribulation blocked their path. Although you are all void forms, it is not easy to survive the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation, lightning tribulation, Wang Feng thought. The sea of bitterness contained the reincarnation chi, which was the energy from the black tide. There was also the origin tribulation deity, king's devouring origin energy. These void forms had been purified by the origin of nothingness, and now they had become pure and unconscious soul energy bodies. But they also had a certain void attribute. They were immune to most special damage. The reincarnation, lightning tribulation was useless against them. But the sea of bitterness was very heavy, and it was easy for these soul energy bodies to sink into it. Chapter 1776. Ancestral Realm. What a fruitful harvest! Wang Feng exclaimed as he felt the endless power of faith. Among all the power of faith produced by Yingzheng was the strongest. After all, he was the one who could feel the power of the ancestral god most directly. Although this power of faith is far from comparable to the power produced by the Angel Nebula, I have the chaotic green lotus special enhancement ability now. Wang Feng infused the power of faith he obtained into the chaotic green lotus. The power of faith produced by Yingzheng was the most special. He was the emperor who carried the world's will and the destiny of that world, the emperor who unified the 9 prefectures. The power of faith he produced was not only powerful, but also very special. However, I did not directly bestow divine power. These believers do not have divine power imprints on them, Wang Feng muttered. I did not directly bestow divine power, even to Yingzheng. The power of faith is not pure enough, but with the enhancement of the chaotic green lotus, the effect is not bad. Moreover, the power of faith was increasing continuously, which meant that Yingzheng had already passed the scripture of the great Tao summoning scripture to others. With this power of faith, I can slowly build the ancestral realm's 9 paths of reincarnation. The chaotic green lotus in Wang Feng's palm was nurturing a layer of faint green light like a thin mist. Therefore, the power of faith that entered the chaos green lotus first rolled around the lotus platform, and then rapidly increased in the process. Then, It floated out and entered Wang Feng's body. The special power of faith of Qin Shi Huang was golden in color, bright and clear, and looked extremely dazzling. After the enhancement, this power of faith can not only replenish divine power, but also cultivate the universe's will and expand the ancestral realm's boundary. It's very useful. Wang Feng's body of faith was connected to the ancestral realm, so he could use the power of faith to cultivate. This body of faith was very useful. Otherwise, Wang Feng would not have spent so much power of faith to condense it. Let's go to the underworld that I created earlier. Wang Feng's figure flashed, and he came to a slightly gloomy realm. This was a special little realm that Wang Feng had created in the ancestral realm with the Pangu axe. He also placed all the void beings in the black tide that he had absorbed in the dark demon realm here, waiting for reincarnation. However, Wang Feng was not strong enough at that time, so he could not deal with them and complete the 9 paths of reincarnation. In this gloomy world, even the sky was gray. The ground was grayish-black, and there were jagged rocks everywhere. It was pitch black. There was only an endless ocean in the distance. That was the Sea of Bitterness. It was one of the reincarnation systems of the ancestral realm. On the other side of the Sea of Bitterness, there was a purplish-black thundercloud. Countless bolts of lightning struck down. Reincarnation, thunder, tribulation. It was also one of the reincarnation systems in the ancestral realm. After these 2 systems was the core order of the 9 paths of reincarnation. However, there was none at the moment. I originally planned to use the void origin to purify those void life forms into pure energy and enter the ancestral realm's reincarnation system to become the ancestral realm's first batch of life forms. Wang Feng gently waved his hand, and boundless power of faith turned into a river, gathering behind the Sea of Bitterness. Now, with the power of faith, everything in the ancestral realm can be connected to this body of faith. That way, even the godly system universe won't be able to see any problems. The God realm was very special. It was not a casual world. Universal level life forms stood at the top of the unit universe. Not to mention ruling a large world. Even a large world like the Dark Demon Realm was very easy. The God realm in the godly system universe was more powerful than any large world. The gods in the godly system universe could open their own God realm when they were young. As long as the God realm was not destroyed, the gods would be very difficult to kill. Moreover, the location of the God realm was very special. Usually, as long as they did not give out the coordinates, even the stronger gods would not be able to sense it. At the same time, the God realm could provide powerful backup support for the gods. The gods could dominate everything in the God realm, use the power of faith to create all kinds of life forms, and even directly evolve the universe. As the God realm that lived with the gods for half of their lives, its position was very special and important. The gods in the non-godly system universe were the native gods. It was very difficult for them to have a God realm. This was because the native gods were different universe-level life forms. Their cultivation method was different from the godly system universe. For example, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor did not have her own God realm. However, she was still very strong. She also opened up her own world for the Crimson Divine Fox clan to live in. However, the world she opened up was not a God realm. However, she could not use the power of faith to cultivate her own world. Even if the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor could collect the power of faith from other worlds, she could not use it on her own world. This was because the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's true body did not have the ability to use the power of faith to transform. This was the special part of the godly system universe. And Wang Feng's body of faith had this ability. This clone of his was equivalent to being integrated into the godly system universe, but it was also independent. It was very special. Therefore, he could now use the power of faith to cultivate the ancestor realm, God realm, ghost realm, monster realm, Azura realm, human realm, spirit realm, yin-yang realm, heaven realm. 9 paths of reincarnation. Which path should I open up first? Wang Feng pondered for a moment. He looked at the special power of faith of Yingzheng. This strand represented the power of faith of the emperor. It contained powerful energy and will. Human realm. The 9 paths were the 9 races. It was also the classification of life forms in the ancestor realm. Rise. Wang Feng waved his hand, and countless power of faith gathered behind the sea of bitterness to form a huge golden door. Mysterious and profound patterns of law and lines of order crawled all over the huge door. Ancient and mysterious symbols were engraved on the huge door. Human realm reincarnation. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation, lightning tribulation, blocked their path. Although you are all void forms, it is not easy to survive the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation, lightning tribulation, Wang Feng thought. The sea of bitterness had the reincarnation chi, which was the energy from the black tide. There is also the origin tribulation deity, king's devouring origin energy. These void forms had been purified by the origin of nothingness, and now they had become pure and unconscious soul energy bodies. But they also had a certain void attribute. They were immune to most special damage. The reincarnation, lightning tribulation, was useless against them. But the sea of bitterness was very heavy, and it was easy for these soul energy bodies to sink into it. The power of faith in Wang Feng's body was rapidly decreasing, and it was constantly flowing into the huge door. On the other side of the sea of bitterness, the floating life forms began to become restless. It was as if something was attracting them, forcing them to enter the huge door. They began to rush toward the huge door. But the sea of bitterness and the reincarnation, lightning tribulation, blocked their path. Chapter 1777. Yingzheng looked at the people in the chat group and pondered for a moment before speaking. Well, the reason why I posted the video is because I have a question I want to ask everyone here. The ancestor god's methods were unfathomable, but the power he bestowed was too powerful and terrifying. He had to study it for a while. The reason why Yingzheng wanted to brainstorm and post the video was because he wanted to get some inspiration from these group members. Can't betray me. I know what you want to ask. 10,000 years. You want to ask how you should use that power, right? I've seen the world you're from. The people in your world, even the generals around you, are just martial artists with some shallow martial arts. But the power of that silver river the ancestor god bestowed is completely incomprehensible to you. At this moment, Yi Fan interjected. You're like a child who picked up a gun. You have so much power, but you don't know how to use it. So, brother, you want to ask us what we should do? Yes, that's right. Yingzheng nodded. These group members were quite smart. Fanyi, you've asked the right person. In our world, your situation is called the spiritual chi revival. Cough, cough. I can only say that the ancestor god is too powerful. He directly crushed a star as a source of energy and poured this energy into your world. Another 10,000 years from heaven. Spiritual chi revival. Yingzheng was stunned. Fanyi, that's right. It's the mutation of the world. Look, after the civil officials and generals around you absorbed that energy, didn't they undergo a huge change? They became stronger, broke through, and even gained new abilities. Not only you, but also the mountains and rivers, flowers and trees. Animals and livestock have all undergone changes. Another 10,000 years from heaven. That's indeed the case. Fanyi, that's why the spiritual chi revival will break the current structure of your world. I heard you mention in the video that there are some demons in your world. It's something you can't resist. Those demons have power that surpasses you humans. Now that the spiritual chi revival in your world and the world is changing, you have the power to fight against them. You will have the capital to fight against the demons. The ancestor god must have given you this power so that you can continue to improve yourselves, regroup, and defeat those demons. I believe that with the ancestor gods means, if you were to take action, your entire world would be easily reduced to ashes, much less fiendish demons. However, the ancestor god did not do so. He only gave you the means to resist the fiendish demons. I'm afraid this is also a test for you. Ingzheng kept nodding his head. The last sentence especially stunned Ingzheng. Test? This was something he hadn't expected. Eternal Peace Pawn's waiter. I understand. Big brother, 10,000 years, the ancestor god is so powerful. He wouldn't casually take an underlings. Although the ancestor god sensed your piety, he only gave you a chance. You have to seize this opportunity. No one in the world can turn their back on me. What a big deal, using the entire world as a test. Brother of 10,000 years, you now have the ability to defeat those fiendish demons. This proves that you are too useless, not to mention the ancestor god. If I had such a useless fellow under me, I would have kicked him out long ago. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Puzzle. JPG. Why do I feel like you guys are thinking too much? Fanny said, you don't understand, right? Maybe we are thinking too much, but we can't rule out this possibility. Brother, 10,000 years. You must be thinking of researching this power, right? In fact, it's very simple. You just need to gather the powerhouses of your country, and then use the power of the heavens as the foundation to establish a powerful cultivation system. Then, guide the warriors and humans of your empire to embark on this cultivation system. Everyone will cultivate. In a short period of time, your country's combat strength will be increased. That's enough. We could talk about the follow-up research later. The most important thing now is to use this power to defeat those fiendish demons and prove to the ancestor god that you, in your empire, didn't let him down. There was no need for in-depth research. Everyone would cultivate. Ingzheng immediately understood. He was enlightened. No one in the world can turn their back on me. Fan Yi, as expected of someone from the future. Your thoughts are quite clear. I also have the same thoughts. The power of the silver waterfall is very powerful. If we study in detail, it will definitely be of great use. However, now isn't the time to study it. It's the time to think of how to overcome this crisis. Hurry up and come up with a cultivation plan so that everyone can start cultivating. Ingzheng immediately went offline without any hesitation. Everyone, thank you for your help. I already have an idea. 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Wait, I want to ask. The ancestor god has helped you guys so much. Are you guys not going to express your gratitude? Borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. Awkward. JPG. I want to express my gratitude. But how should I express it? The ancestor god doesn't like the things in our world. I have imparted the great Tao god summoning scripture to the people of the empire so that they can worship it devoutly. I have even established a national religion for the ancestor god. I plan to worship the ancestor god. Is this considered a form of expression? 2. She Ancient Emperor Jade. I see. I keep feeling that something is missing. Fanny, Ancient Emperor Jade, you have reminded me. Logically speaking, if we worship the gods, we would need to offer sacrifices, right? I remember that in our ancient times, cough cough, similar to your world 10,000 years ago, the emperor had to offer sacrifices to the heavens, praying for a year of bumper harvest and favorable weather. Although our ancient times were all feudal and fake. But it's different in your world. The ancestor god is a true god. I feel that you guys can offer sacrifices to spread the glory of the ancestor god, even if the things in your world are useless to the ancestor god. But this is a form of sincerity. Ingzheng immediately understood. He patted his head. He still knew about offering sacrifices. It was just that in the past, he didn't really believe in such things. Hence, he didn't even think about it. But the ancestor god was different, borrowing 10,000 years from the heavens. I understand now. I will do it immediately. After saying that, he went offline. Fanny, sigh. Old brother, 10,000 years has gone offline. But the scenes in the video are still replaying in my mind. Young and pawn shop assistant. Brother Fan, don't think about it anymore. Don't forget how we mocked the ancestor god in the past. The ancestor god wouldn't care about us now. Sigh. I still have many wishes that have yet to be fulfilled. Recently, a mysterious fellow said that I will become the savior of this world in the future. I was thinking about it. With my skinny arms and legs, how can I be the savior of this world? Fanny. It's fine. I will go back now and memorize the great Tao God summoning scripture and recite it every day to show my sincerity. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.